This is The Extra Sheep, the unofficial Age of Empires 4 podcast, hosted by myself, Socerton, along with Beale and Sir Nevels, and we also have Calerb Calamari joining us back again today. And as a special guest on today's show, we have the magnificent Bidderlyn, I think I said that right, who is the creator of many tournament maps you guys might recognize, such as Gorge and Kawasan and some other really well-known maps that we've talked about many times on this podcast, actually, such as Golden Heights and Four Lakes. So we are really excited to have him on the show today. Also, this is episode number 13, which might sound kind of random, but that means we have been hosting this podcast for a full 6 months. So congrats to ourselves, to Sir Nevels, to Beale. I remember reaching out. Sir Nevels was like super gung-ho about the podcast when I was going to start it. I was like putting those feelers out, right? I remember Beale having kind of cold feet a little bit there at first. He was kind of worried.
Oh, what?
But I just want to say, he was a little cold feet. He was like, I don't know if I can talk about the pros. I was like, no, we're not here to talk about the pro players. We're here to just talk about the game, you know? And it's okay that we're not experts. Now Beale's like the best of all of us as far as his rank goes. But I will say, Beale has stepped up big time in inviting Bidderlyn to join us. We are thrilled to have him on, and Beale's been just coming up with perfect ideas for a couple episodes now in a row. He's been like the brain behind the podcast the last couple, like month or so now. So shout out to
part-time Beale going in.
Part-time Beale has gone full-time. Stop calling him that. He's not part-time.
Full-time Beale.
Full-time Beale.
Hey, you might get promoted. That might be the new one.
Full-time Beale. I'm gonna make him the supervisor on this podcast.
Overtime Beale. I like that one.
Overtime Beale. There we go.
I like that one.
Yeah, 6 months, man. We have grown quite a bit. I think we have hit almost every continent. And we've had viewers in Africa, Asia, Oceania, Europe, North America, South America. I honestly, I'll post that in the Patreon, like the map of like everywhere we've covered. It's kind of wild to see. So all of you guys who are in across the world, all of you guys who are stateside, everyone, we're just so glad to see so much support for the podcast. I've noticed a bit of an uptick in our Patreon as well. And that little fund is growing and growing. I'm hoping we can do something cool with those funds eventually. It's nice kind of knowing too that we've got enough money to kind of keep hosting this thing. So I'm not like telling my wife why I'm spending money on a podcast for such a niche game. But it's nice. We're supported, you know, we're supported podcast by you guys listening. So that's been huge. I'm actually holding a letter right now for someone who lives in Switzerland. I need to mail it out. I got it all set up and ready. Got the 3 stamps on there. He just joined the Patreon. I won't say his name just because in case he wants to be more private, but I've got, if you're in Switzerland, you know who you are. I've got your letter in my hand right now with your coasters and stickers in the letter. It's only, and if you were living like abroad away from the United States, right? Like normally shipping's a pain. For me, I kid you not, it's 3 stamps for me to mail these little letters out with the coasters and stickers inside. I chose a smart thing going for something really small. So we can mail these out. Eventually, I'd love to do t-shirts or something, but that's a lot more money.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that'd be cool. I mean, these coasters are pretty awesome.
They're kind of cool. They turned out really good, right? Like I've been raving about them, and I was just, for being a paper coaster, like the print is so nice.
Yeah, the colors are super vibrant.
Yeah, shout out to
they look really nice.
Sticker Mule and their wonderful work they do.
Sticker Mule.
Not even joking.
Not sponsored.
There you go.
Not sponsored, but I have used them. They are great for stuff like this. I use them for my professional life as well. Working at a hospital, if I ever need to print out stickers, I go through them. Pretty cute little thing. I got a whole stack. I still got a huge stack of these stickers too. So if anyone's like debating if they want to join, I'm gonna keep sending them out until they run out. So if you join the Patreon, I will send them out. So anyway, so we get to some AOE news. We do have Bidderlyn on deck, and he's getting some water right now. But we're gonna interview him about all the juicy things about map making, and as a big map creator, I believe he has been picked up by Microsoft as well. We won't be able to dive into that. That's a lot more like, what's the word I'm looking for? That's a lot more confidential. Yeah. I feel like there's like a corporate term for it too. Like, you know, he signs NDAs, like the non-disclosure agreements. He's got things he can't talk about. Obviously, like things are ongoing development, so we're not going to be talking about those things. But we will dive into his work with maps and stuff. And I just got messages. He's back. Perfect. Welcome back, Bidderlyn. We'll get to you in just a second. We do have a little bit of news. Not much. Frankly, the summer event is going on. That's about it. What's for AOE.
What's really going on with that?
It's kind of like, you know how like they have like new little rewards. It's honestly the events with Age of Empires. They're fun. They're cute. I like that they changed the background of like the loading screen and the home screen.
I do like that.
You get like the new little like portrait icons. It's like things like that. It's a summer event. We're enjoying the last bits of summer. Actually, speaking of that, I live in the Pacific Northwest, right on the coast. I know the rest of the world is like on fire right now. We have not been. We have been very cozy at 68 degrees and sunny. Today, it's supposed to get up to 90. I've got my AC running in my room right now because it's supposed to get up to 90 today and tomorrow, which on the coast for how humid it gets here is really brutal. Yeah, it's really hot for where we're at. But anyways, I think that's about it for news. I did want to mention Baldur's Gate a little bit, though. I know that's not really in our realm.
Let's go.
But I think we'd be remiss if we didn't mention how big this game is right now. I mean, that's one of those things, where big games come up, they start drawing users away from our game a little bit, and that's not a bad thing. We are kind of mid to late season now, I think. Baldur's Gate, though, can we just say that that has been like a cultural phenomenon?
Gaming. It's been redefining gaming as a whole.
Really, really good.
Do you guys, who all has it? I would love to get it, but I don't have the game yet. I'm waiting to. I'm about to do a vacation down to Southern California, so I'm saving up money right now. But who do you have it, Caleb?
I do. Me and my wife played probably about 14 hours so far. We're gonna play a lot more the beginning of this week here. She left for a wedding, so she hasn't been around. Otherwise, we'd be like 100 hours into it. But yeah, it's super, super good. I mean, I've played Larian's previous games, Divinity and Divinity 2.
I heard those are amazing also.
Those are very, very good. And this is those on steroids. So it's hard to go wrong.
Yeah, I've been watching a lot of streamers, and I'm a big D&D guy. I don't know if anyone knows that. I'm a big, that's something I started picking up in the pandemic, was playing D&D with my friends kind of long distance. So I've been watching some streamers play, and I'm watching it going, oh man, I've never seen a game. It's really weird to watch a game that I've never played. I've never played any of the Baldur's Gates. The other two are a lot older. They came out early, 2000, I think, and earlier. I've never played.
Was the first
90 and 2000. I've never played any of them. But it's so weird watching this game and being like, I know all the rules while watching some of these big streamers figure out the game. And I'm sitting here oh, you just need to cast this spell. I know what this does. Because I play D&D. I'm the Dungeon Master. So I know the rules of D&D 5th edition, the back of my hand. So it's been really weird. It's a really weird phenomenon to see a game you've never touched and know how it works almost. It's so intuitive to me to watch. So I'm really eager to get my hands on it eventually. But
yeah, I'm so happy that it turned out to be a huge success, just because of the legacy of the first two games and people calling them the best RPGs of all time, and the fact that a company can come over 20 years later, release a sequel installment that's just as good as
the OGs,
as the previous ones. Yeah.
We've talked about the release of games
for those people that have just been waiting.
Yeah, and we've talked a little bit about that too, about games that have not released well. Even Age of Empires 4 had a pretty rough release. I mean, we think it's in a great spot now, but release time was rough, and lots of comparisons, of course, made to the previous installment back in over a decade ago. Baldur's Gate, definitely. I've been seeing a lot of memes about how it's going to raise the bar for game developers to make really finished products without microtransactions, without having to have a battle pass, just really good games that are AAA right off the bat, which is, I hate to say it, kind of a rarity right now, right?
I think for a game this hyped up, I like this a lot because you got a game that's been hyped up forever. It's got a lot of play tests and leading up to it, and everyone was hyped for it. And it came out really not. I didn't see any big bugs, and it came out and it was lived up or surpassed its hype, which is kind of a rare thing. There's a lot of games that are kind of in the oven right now that I'm a little nervous about. This, I'm not gonna lie. I mean, I think 2023 as a whole is looking. It's just if you step outside the AOE 4 window for a hot second, you start realizing there's a lot of good games coming out. And like you said, Socerton, I think it is. I see a lot of trending topics about developers are now getting nervous. They're getting nervous with their game development. It's putting the pedestal almost too high now for regular developers.
Yeah,
that's what people are trying to make a narrative out of because with the big, it is some rarity.
Yeah, well, with I think the only other game that's going to come close to this type of game this year, I think, is Starfield coming out, right?
That's everybody saying,
and that's the big question, right? Does it actually do this, or does it?
Exactly. That's that. No, I don't think Starfield is going to come near Baldur's Gate. I don't think it is. I don't know.
It's going to be interesting because the interesting part about Baldur's Gate is it's a really clean quality game, but it's less that it did super well. And it's that this genre is doing super well when historically it hasn't been a super popular genre.
Well, and
when the first ones came out, it was, but then it kind of tapered.
I mean, part of that I wonder is it just because D&D has become very mainstream?
Yes.
I mean,
it's because of that, and it's because there just isn't a whole lot of other stuff, as has been mentioned. There's just not a lot for people to sink their teeth into right now. So
yeah.
What was
the last big CRPG release? Was it like?
I want to say Divinity 2.
Yeah, I say Divinity.
Divinity 2 or
I heard about Divinity 2.
Yeah.
And when was that? I forget.
Divinity 2 came out like 2000
5 years at least, maybe.
Yeah.
Divinity 2 came out like at least 5-6 years ago. I didn't play that, but like Baldur's Gate makes me want to go back and play those.
Well, these kind of games take a while too.
There ain't no way it was 2009. What?
This 2009 it came out?
It's
No.
like
No.
14 years?
No, it wasn't.
No way. Divinity came out that
The
long
sequel
ago.
Divinity
2?
2 was released in 20. Wait, what?
In
What is happening
2017. Yeah.
There you go.
2017. Okay,
Yeah.
5 years.
Okay, I was
5
gonna
years.
say there's no way a game looks that good.
So Nevels is
Like,
putting us in a
that's
time machine
There was
right now.
another Divinity series, and there was Divinity 2. Yeah. There's like Dark Divinity and all that stuff.
Got
and
it.
Divinity Original Sin is like this brand.
2017,
Divinity.
yeah.
okay,
Yeah.
I know what you mean now.
Okay.
Honestly, this
That's
game
still
is
6
putting
years ago, though.
Starfield
That's
on the
pretty good.
clock. This game is putting Starfield on the clock. I don't know, because Bethesda is really famous for having buggy games. People really call them Bugthesda. And I'm hyped for Starfield. I might take a day off work for it. I might tell my lady like, hey, this might be like a day where the door is closed for like 12 hours plus. But Baldur's Gate is really going to highlight. I mean, Starfield's got to come. They can't be. This game is apparently it's 25 years in development, so Baldur's Gate really is setting a. People are not going to be as forgiving after this game, I feel.
Yeah.
So it shows it's possible.
Yeah. That's kind of the thing. Like as soon as someone does it, like it does kind of. This has been a good year for games. I mean, we've talked about a couple. We've veered off of AOE a little bit in this podcast in different segments a little bit to talk about. We've mentioned Hogwarts Legacy. That was kind of a flash flare where it kind of just was really hot at first, and then once everyone realized that the story kind of sucks. Exploring Hogwarts is great, but then after that, it's like meh. That game's kind of fun. And that was gonna be like Game of the Year material. Then it wasn't. I think Breath of the Wild not Breath of the Wild, sorry. Tears of the Kingdom, the new Zelda game came out. That game is like Game of the Year material, right? I think we'd agree with that. It's up there. It's definitely in conversation. Diablo 4 came out. I don't know if I would say that's Game of the Year material, but it caused a big phrase. And then everyone hit that level cap kind of after level 70, and they're kind of like, meh, and people aren't loving it anymore because they just burned through it so fast, which it's a different type of game. Maybe they shouldn't have burned through it super quick. This game, Baldur's Gate, I feel like has been the next big. I feel like we had a couple of big gaming crazes, right? And this one's been the next one in a row of a couple now. And this one so far, I mean, it's only been like a week, but man, the reviews on this one have been like outstanding. I think Metacritic had this one actually above Tears of the Kingdom, which was in the lead.
I believe it 97 on Metacritic.
Man, that's up there.
Yeah, that is very impressive.
I mean, I don't know if Starfield was exactly what people hyped it up to be, and it's just as good as everyone hopes. Baldur's Gate still might just be better. I mean, and that's not even to diss Starfield yet. If it meets its expectations, Baldur's Gate might just be that much better. I honestly, I think right now Baldur's Gate might be the game of the year.
Yeah, it's very possible. I mean, it's got a 97 Metacritic from the critics and a 9.1 from user. Like that's
we still got more games coming out though. This has been such a good year for games.
It's a good year. It's a good year. It's like, you know what I'm saying, when AOE does get its little, we want to take a little break, it is nice. You can just venture up and play something else.
And I think it's a good thing too. It's good to take a break from the AOE if we need.
Oh yeah. It makes AOE, like if you just you can burn out very quickly on AOE 4. Like I play AOE every day, but I still like I've been playing Diablo 4 between the two, and you know, it makes AOE like, you know, when Diablo gets kind of boring, because that is very possible. And just hop on AOE, stress yourself out for no reason, and then once you have a couple for a little bit, then you just go back. You know, it's a nice little dynamic. It's a nice dynamic.
AOE is still just such a good game, though.
Such a beautiful game.
I find myself always coming back to it eventually, and always having like every now and then I just get the itch for it. And I don't play as like every day as I was playing it about a year ago. Like this time last year, I was like just itching to play. Like that's all I wanted to do. Now I've got a couple other games that kind of take my attention as well. But AoE is still just so good. And we're kind of in a lull of AoE. You know, not a lot has changed a whole lot recently with AoE. And that's okay. It's in a good spot. But
a couple more days. Game's kind of be around the corner. Well, don't worry. AoE's gonna be back in the spotlight soon.
Well, you heard Mr. Nevels, breaking some news, I guess. We'll see.
Oh, yeah, don't worry.
We will get back to AoE. We've been kind of straying off a little bit, talk about other games. We almost could make this just a game podcast, but we are called the Extra Sheep, and that is because we talk about Age of Empires 4 to be specific. We have Bidderlyn here, who's been ever so patient, waiting for us to actually ask him some questions. Let's dive in. Let's interview him a little bit. We've got some questions lined up. I want to shout out Beale again. Beale, you've been so great, like setting people up to help us like get this ready. And we really appreciate Bidderlyn being here, of course, as well. So we'll start. Bidderlyn, I know you've been waiting for us to stop chatting and get to you, but could you give us maybe just a quick history of you and video games? Like what got you into gaming, and what was your favorite game growing up?
Yeah, sure. Also, it was really nice listening to you right now. I also play Baldur's Gate, so it's awesome to hear everyone enjoy it. Yeah, I'm playing a druid, but I die, like every road I take, it ends with an axe in my face, but I love it. So, so far the game has been great. I won't spoil, so, it's just pick it up and play. I think it's an amazing game, and I can't wait for Starfield as well. I mean, we get so many good games this year. Yeah, and Stormgate will be next year maybe. So many good stuff coming, and I think it's great for the gaming industry in general that we have so many good games, because people who would normally want to play like Baldur's Gate or RTS kind of start picking it up, and I think it's like even other games will help other games to grow. So like if Stormgate does good or if Starfield does good, it will help like the RTS or the RPG communities grow. So every good game that succeeds is good for the community and for everyone.
I agree. Yeah, absolutely, 100%. We've joked about games being like the gateway drug to RTS, and different like RTS is getting people into AoE.
It's the real thing.
Yeah,
I love it. I will start using it from now.
So what was your favorite game growing up then, Bidderlyn?
Yeah. So when I grew up, let's say I was like really, really young when I started looking at games. So I didn't play at first. We had one computer in the living room, and my father, he owned this computer. Like he sat and he played, and my mother wouldn't let me. But my father, he would allow me to sit on his lap and watch him play games. And what he likes to play is RTS games mainly. So he played a game called Netstorm. I think I was like 5 years old. And later he played a game which he called Sumama, and that was actually Age of Empires. Sumama was like something the villagers said. It wasn't actually Sumama, it was like Okama or something, but he likes
I know exactly that voice line that you're talking about.
Yeah.
Sumama. Yeah.
Exactly. So my father said Sumama, and do you want to see me play Sumama? And I was like, yeah, sure. And I've seen him beat the AI, and he was extremely cheesy. He would just tower rush every game, but I thought it's amazing,
Oh, he's an OG tower rusher. Oh, let's go.
Yeah, my father invented tower rush, just saying. So.
There you go. Hey, stay for it.
Yeah, so that was my introduction to games and RTS, and obviously I played other games, not just RTS. And when my father and mother went to sleep, so the computer was in the living room, I was always a night owl. I would never sleep at night. Right now it's middle of the night for me, and I'm not going to sleep anytime soon. So I would sneak and play the Sumama game, Age of Empires, and I would get destroyed, and I would try to mimic my father, and I would absolutely get trashed. And that was my introduction.
That is awesome. That is so cool. This is a bit. I've got a little junior Socerton walking around. He's just about to turn 3, coming up in September, and he loves when me and my wife are playing Tears of the Kingdom, the Zelda game, and he calls it touch, because he loves, there's a little thing you go up in little green circles, you go and touch for the shrines. So he's like touch, always wants us to go and find those, and then he wants to press the button to touch them. And it's so fun to see. That's when you said that you got to sit in your dad's lap. I grew up doing something very similar with my dad, standing next to him, watching him play RTS games as well. That's fun. That's super. That really makes me nostalgic. I love that.
Yeah, and I also have a nephew that plays Zelda, and they also make all these names and noises about everything they see. So I'm super excited for it, and I also have a son coming in a month. So I can't wait to give him the same experience, but I will allow him to play, unlike my parents. But I guess they did well because it turned out well.
That's great.
Congratulations, though, on the child coming up.
Yeah, thank you.
No problem. That's great.
Yeah, thanks.
So I guess we kind of already found out what got you into RTS then. Obviously, there's a family history here of playing RTS and Age of Empires in particular. So maybe, obviously, what got you in? You're obviously like one of the most probably lauded map crafters in this game. Like hands down, like some of the maps you've made. I mean, we are big fans of Golden Heights. I know most everyone is. Some of those maps you've made are just awesome. What got you into making custom maps and like level design? What got you into that?
I played so much RTS when I was a child, and I would do all the campaigns, and I would play like all the skirmish matches. And at some point, I just felt like I need to make like something else, like have a different experience. Because when I was young, I didn't have many games. I had like Age of Empires and a few other games. So when I would get bored of the other games, like, oh, there is no more content. But with Age of Empires, I was like, oh, I can create content. And I would basically never get bored about the game this way. I would make like costume scenarios, and I would give myself all the overpowered, nonsense that I could think of because I was just a child. But in time when I grew, I made like more elaborate scenarios, and at first I was not aware at all about like competitive play. I didn't know people even try to play this game competitively. Like, beating the AI is fun, but it's not chess. That's what I thought, right? I was mistaken, but I will get to that. So I made like fun scenarios, but to my luck, like when I got older and I learned programming, I made this kind of big scenario called, it was basically an overhaul of Age of Empires 2. Made it like a Game of Thrones skin. It was in 2014, I believe. And a big streamer called Spirit of the Law for Age of Empires 2, like he made a video about it, and it got like over 500,000 views. And like everyone was like, oh, who made this like crazy overhaul for the game? And that's basically when I realized people that are like me, that are interested in more content. Like I kind of knew that, but I never actually interacted with anyone that does it, and I basically just suddenly got absorbed into the modding community, and like people started offering me to collaborate, and people took this scenario and made their own scenarios based on that, and like I made all those different scenarios with different people, and I got like really in love into making stuff for the community and play with the community, like stuff they did, stuff I did, stuff we did together. And basically, that's what got me into level design. I'm sorry for the long answer, but yeah.
Oh no, you're good.
No, that's really fascinating. That makes a lot of sense.
That's super cool.
I didn't know Spirit of the Law is what kind of like he had one of your map creations on his YouTube, and that's kind of what kind of took you, like inspired you to start creating more. The Spirit of the Law video that got the high viewership.
Yeah, I owe a lot to Spirit of the Law's video, like more than just, the views and the exposure. Like I actually, at first when I got exposure, I was a bit shocked, and I actually dropped my scenario. I stopped working on it and I gave it to someone else. I felt like I have a lot of pressure on me, and I was busy with other stuff, right? But it did get me, like when I got back, there were so many like friendly people to interact with and play with. And I started like doing niche scenarios and niche maps as well. So, and later on, like I think around 2016, I finally realized there is like a competitive scene around this game. So it sounds weird to say like, oh, I didn't know there is a competitive scene, but it's not like Age of Empires 4 now. So esports wasn't big back then. Like people played casual games most, like it was like, I would say over 90% of players, but probably over 97% of players would just play this game super casually, like costume scenarios, crazy AI skirmishes and whatnot. But yeah, I realized there is like a competitive scene, and it's growing, and it's got me really interested because I was always looking for more content. Because I always like, I had this game, right? Like by that time I was growing up and I had more games, but I was still very much invested into Age of Empires. So when I discovered like you can actually like learn build orders and get better, and there is like these crazy tournaments with money that I can get like invested with, I started doing that. And basically, I thought like I knew Age of Empires, but I only scraped to the surface, and I started making like ranked maps, and it was amazing. Like I discovered a new world. It was so good, and it was a world I was already familiar with. It's like it's like discovering you have like a Narnia in your in your closet. Like I opened the door and suddenly I had it in my house all this long. It was amazing. So and then I started just making like tournament maps and competitive maps, and tried to get good. I never did, but it's another story. So,
I really like that. I really like that comparison, like Narnia in your closet. Like that's so great, because that really is. That's such a great way. I mean, I never realized growing up as a kid. I mean, I played a lot of RTS games as a kid, but it was like you said, like all skirmishes against the AI or the campaign. Not really anything. The idea of playing online was so novel, and really didn't get into mainstream until like 10 years ago. When would you guys say like online gaming like really like took off? I mean, lots of
Halo 1.
Halo 1.
I'll say like Halo.
Halo 1 was Halo 2 was for console.
Halo 2. I would say it's for online gaming. Like I'll say like got revolutionized, like Halo 2-ish area. Like was that? Is that Xbox?
That's for console. That's for console.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. You're right. Excuse me. You're right. Excuse me.
I remember playing online. Yeah. Like late 90s, early 2000s.
Yeah, that's fair. Like online, I guess, because I remember my dad playing those big mass like online games as well in the early 2000s. But I guess you're right. If you grew up on consoles, I mean, as a kid, I played consoles. My dad played the computer. So I guess it's a bit different. I know online gaming for consoles really took off, not more recently for sure. But
well, yeah, like I didn't even realize that online gaming. This is how much of a new buying. I didn't realize that PC gamers were playing online with each other in the 90s. Like, that's insane to me. Like, I could have swore, I thought that Halo, like, this is coming from like a console casual, but no, not anymore. But I used to be big time. And I thought like that's when the real arc, like the actual like revolutionary, like what became more mainstream and kind of like cool to play online was like, I thought around like Halo-ish times. Like first-person shooters.
It definitely made it more cool to play online for sure. Halo was huge. But yeah, like I remember a kid trying to play Age of Empires on MSN Gaming Zone. And
oh my gosh, that's a nightmare.
Getting my ass kicked every single time. So like what I would seek out the custom maps. I love like the little RPG maps that you can play in Age of Empires 2. There was like a Mario Party sort of map with a bunch of mini games and racing things. There was that's where I spent my time in AoE 2, like growing up, because I figured like there's no way I was ever gonna get good. Like, how are these people like beating me so bad every single time?
Yeah, it's like a whole different species of players. Like they're
and they didn't have matchmaking back then, like stuff. And so it was just like you versus anybody else, and it'd be like, some guy who's like grandmaster nowadays. And
you're playing like the equivalent to like Beastie Cutie at the time, like every single
and you'd be like 5 years old and crying.
That's it exactly.
Oh man. That's fun.
That's great.
So Bidderlyn, how we've all, I think, dabbled with the map maker in this game for Age of Empires 4, right? Everyone's at least looked at it, right? We've all downloaded it and tried it.
I looked at it and then immediately closed out.
I opened it up on accident and I was like, what is it? Nah, I'm good.
I have tried. I know I've tried. I know I've made it a couple of crafted maps. That's a lot. There's a little way to make that, and that's a lot easier. But it's hard to make it. I mean, crafted, it's the same every single time, whereas the generated map's what you really want to make, essentially, right? Because then it's a different seed, different like iterations every single time. But that process is like full on coding. It is way above my pay grade. I make videos and do graphic design. I do not code. Like that is a whole different skill. But where does the design process start for you, Bidderlyn? What's the first thing on your mind when you craft a new map?
So I want to make excuses for the editor. I think like it's not as accessible as the editors on like in some other games, but it's like on the other side, you do get a lot more options, and the fact that you can code is it's kind of increasing the entry barrier, right? But it's also increasing what you can do and how you can do it. If you know what you do. But if you want to just start making generated maps. There are like excellent guides. Like it's a shame that you have to know somewhat how to code, but you can definitely learn that if you want to, because the guides on the official website are really excellent. When I started like making the maps, I only used those guides, and I also used the Discord community for modding, which I really recommend everyone to enter and discuss their like what they want to do there and what are their thoughts, and people will definitely help you. I mean, I will be there and I will help you personally to get your map going. I'm like very passionate about it, and there are people who are super passionate about modding in our game. So I really, really recommend everyone to try that.
Yeah, I'd like to play around with it a little bit more because I'm used to like the AoE 2 map maker is much more simple compared. Because AoE 4 has got to be pretty close to like just straight up dev tools versus like AoE 2, which seems like it's sort of casualized or made streamlined for a normal end user to just plop some units down and like paint the map.
That's true, but like when you do want to make generated maps for Age of Empires 2, you do use external tools. So the editor in Age of Empires 2 allows you to make custom scenarios fairly easily, but even then, all the coding that is related to the custom scenarios is mostly done by external tools, because in the editor you can technically make triggers and conditions and all that stuff, but it's not as viable as using like quote-unquote development platform. So yeah, I guess like Age of Empires 2 allows you to create very simple stuff fairly easy, but you would still like get in a lot of quote-unquote technical difficulties if you wanted to make something big and complex like generated maps. Although it's not as complicated as people think. Like I don't want to intimidate people by saying that, because if you just put yourself to learn that, you will make it, because all you need is dedication. It's not that complicated. You need just to sit down, do it, and ask people around, because there are people who will help you, and the information is definitely there. So you don't have to be afraid of being stuck, basically.
That's a really good point. That reminds me kind of a couple things. First, I don't know if anyone ever played this is a PlayStation game, Little Big Planet.
Oh yeah.
But I remember that had a custom game like map maker you could do. And I remember thinking like, man, it's just so hard to build anything. And I was a kid trying to do it. And there's and you can do full on logic with different gates and different things. Like there's tons of stuff that game has. And people would make these amazing crafted maps out of that. And that looked like full on regular like maps in the game. And one of the interesting things I liked about that game was that everything in that game was made using the game. Like it wasn't like back end stuff. It was all, they built a system and they used it to build maps, which was always kind of a really cool thing about Little Big Planet, especially like the first one or two. That definitely makes a lot of sense, dude. I think I've said on this podcast too, like if I just had the time and dedication to learn how to do it, I'm sure we all could learn how to make the generated maps. It just takes, it's that time. I think that's the big hurdle, is the time and the effort to get through that barrier initially. But yeah, I do think anyone could do it if they really wanted to. I think that could be a thing. You just gotta, find the community, jump in. I like the idea of the Discord for that and actually reaching out. That's a good idea, because I think a lot of people don't really know where to start. But yeah, if knowing where that start spot's at, and then just as long as you have the time to dedicate to learning a little bit. And I mean, we all did this. We all did it for learning how to play, right?
Yeah.
I mean, we all were novices when we first picked up our mouse and keyboard on this game to try and learn how to play AoE. And we all look at, what do we do? We looked up YouTube videos on build orders. We went through the in-game tutorials. We did a lot to get to where we are. We're listening to podcasts about the games. We can get how to be better, right? Right.
That's point, yeah.
There you go.
I mean, it will require more dedication to become a conqueror than to make generated maps. So there you go.
Yeah. I think it's a good point, just kind of in general. I know I played with the Warcraft 3 map editor, like campaign editor type thing, when I was my younger years. It just takes time sitting down and doing it. And that's kind of the rule for a lot of things in life. If you just sit down and start to work on something, you'll get at least a baseline hang of it at some point, and then having a community to help kind of drive that in a Discord or something like that helps motivate you along the way.
Yeah.
Like, do you think if you had to kind of like I don't know, like implement an improvement on the in-game, like almost like the crafting tools they give you in-game. Well, not in-game, but in the software, or even to call it, to make the maps. Like, what would you? Because I hear a lot of people complaining about, like, especially in comparison to AoE 2, they're saying like, oh, when AoE 2 was way more, I don't know, user friendly. And as in AoE 4, it's a lot bigger barrier to entry because it's more complicated. Like, from your experience, like, if you, I don't know, like, if you can implement something that might make it a little bit smoother for someone like more casual trying to make a map, what do you think you would do?
Yeah, definitely as you said, the user experience. So I don't think you can actually have a good editing tools that are also user-friendly, but you can make something that is user-friendly and allows you to make simple stuff like AoE 2 does, right? Like, you can't really make an actual like campaign level that is in top quality in Age of Empires 2 through the editor, but you can make something that is simple and fun and show your mother or friends, depends on your age. And
Mom, come look.
Mom, look.
I would show it for some people, though.
My mom, so, she would always tell me how good they are. Now I know they were crap, but I learned. So yeah, I would allow, like, I would make something more simple, but that also allows you to make like simple stuff, basically. So I think one of the reasons we don't have a lot of models is because there is nothing to play with in the like shallow waters, So people have to dive into the deep if they want to make maps.
What I'm hearing is we need a gateway drug into map crafting. We need something just to prime them up a little bit.
We need like a beginner mode and then advanced mode.
There we go. Well, and that's kind of, there is, like I said, there is the crafted maps. It is a little bit, you have to kind of download the little mod tool to start, just to get there, right? And then it gives you the option to like make a crafted map or try and make a generated map or just to go straight into the modding tool. And so there are kind of levels, and I've made something in the crafted map. It's just, it's not good because you don't have a lot of, because due to necessity, right? Because if you want to make something really good, there is coding behind it that needs to be done. Whereas if you want to do something simple, you can do some simple stuff. And I've done some simple things. I think it's a lot easier to come up with a map idea than it is to implement that as a generated like map, because that generated part is kind of the key, where it's going to be a different map every single time that follows the same set of rules that give it a certain look overall.
Exactly. Yeah.
So on the design principles though, Bidderlyn, what do you like, how do you go about making like a new map? Like, where do you get your ideas for new maps?
All right, yeah, that's a good question. So it depends on who am I making it for, I would say, because, a map is good or bad, depends on who is it for, right? Like, if I make a map for a tournament, what do? I want the map to be balanced, I want it to be good with the civilizations the tournament organizer wants people to play, because they want some maps to be good for this civilization, some maps for that civilization, or just balanced overall. You want to have, so when you play the game, I mean, it's fun for you to make economy for 20 minutes and then attack, right? But like for tournaments, you want to have an incentive to pull the players out of their base. And it can be frustrating for casual players, but for competitive players, it can be fun. So would this map be good for casual players? Probably not, but for competitive players, probably yeah, and for viewership, probably yeah. So it depends who you're making it for, I would say. And when you decide who you make it for, try to think of what gameplay you want to emphasize. So let's say, let's go again to competitions, because I have a lot of experience the past year with that. So you want some maps to emphasize a gameplay, and some other ones to emphasize a different type of gameplay. So you don't want all the maps to be the same. Like, you don't want only, I mean, maybe you do, but you don't want only dry Arabia in your tournament. You want to have some water aggression. Some people do, okay?
I was going to say, I can name a handful of people that only want dry Arabia.
I would say I would watch an only dry Arabia tournament and every once in a while, but I don't want every tournament to be that way. And the organizers I usually talk with don't want that as well. So you try to have different maps, with each map, being about something else. And when you make the map, like, let's say Drongo wants me to make a map for him, right? Like he might say, I want a map, like one map with water or something, you know? And I want, the water to not be about like dark age aggression. So I have to make something about that. And then he wants another map that is open map, but not dry Arabia. He gives me like these guidelines. So I have to think what would make this map different than dry Arabia, but still like open and interesting. So I think one of the things that I want to achieve when I make a map is having a different meta to the game, but still a balanced one. So I want the map to do, so for me, creating a fun map that I want to play, like in games, like let's say Golden Heights. I wanted
excellent choice.
Yeah, I wanted the map to be. So I wanted the map to. I can talk about it because I made it for the tournament. So I made it. So I wanted the map to still be balanced with enough civilizations. It doesn't have to be all the civilizations, right? But it has to be interesting enough so players have different civilizations they can pick on the map. But it also has. So it has to be balanced, but the easiest way to make a balanced map is to kind of clone Dry Arabia, right? But the interesting way is to have a balanced map that is not a clone of Dry Arabia. So in that aspect, I try to think about how do I spawn the player. So in Golden Heights, there is a very different spawn method than any other map. Like players start really close to each other. And usually people ask me if Golden Heights is bigger than other maps, but it's not. It's just that you have to go around the cliff and you have to go to the other side of the map. So I got like a few pro players like sending me a private message asking if Golden Heights is different size, and it's not. It's just the way it's designed is it makes you play spread out all the time. So you are actually feeling like it's bigger than it is, even though you start so close to your enemy. So I like to try to shake the meta without shaking the balance. I think that's what makes good maps.
That's
I
really
agree wholeheartedly. Listen, I'm very happy you brought up Golden Heights there, sir. And I like to personally compliment you on your brain power of making Golden Heights, because that is my favorite map from the new map pool. And I'm very happy that the developers decided to put that in the actual map pool. And I'm going to take just a quick, because I'm very happy to have you here, because one of the biggest things I said that will make, and I've heard pros also agree with this, is that I'm like, I'm looking at a nice spread of your work here. We posted as a reference in our Discord, and I'm looking at it. And if this was added as the regular map pool for ranked, I think the game would immediately tenfold in quality of map. Because I think that the maps that are included in EGC tournaments should be included into the ranked map pool. And I've heard other pro players say it, like that these custom maps are just way more balanced. Like they are universally praised. And I'm not trying to get I'm not trying to make you feel uncomfortable, start overpraising, but like the maps I'm looking at here, like it makes me, I get almost like annoyed that these aren't in the map pool. Like Golden Heights, we're making progress here.
Yeah,
4 Lakes and Golden Heights. I'm sad 4 Lakes is not in the map pool anymore, but Golden Heights,
but it was.
That is my favorite. It was, I know, and I'm so sad they took it out. But Golden Lakes, I just played a map on it last night. Yeah. I dominated it. That's all I'm gonna say, and it felt amazing. It felt amazing. I got a beautiful build for the map. Hey, compliments to the chef on Golden Heights. That's my favorite map this season.
Actually, I really like that thought. So I've got so many thoughts. I mean, you've just given us so much stuff to talk about, Bidderlyn. I'm so excited to get into this. Before I dive in and start leading our discussion into this, I do want to ask what everyone's favorite map right now is. I know Sir Nevels is saying Golden Heights is his favorite. I think mine is I think Lipany is my favorite map, hands down.
Lipany's great. Yeah,
I'm curious what maybe Caleb and Beale, what your guys is, and maybe Bidderlyn too, on what your favorite maps are. And don't say Dry Arabia. Don't come on. It's gotta not be Dry Arabia. Can't be. Because Dry Arabia is just so. Dry Arabia is, and we're gonna dive into this, how your maps need to be like Dry Arabia, but not Dry Arabia. That's a very fascinating thought. But outside of Dry Arabia, obviously that's the most balanced map there is. Outside of that, I mean, what is everyone's favorite maps? I mean, we got Sir Neville saying Golden Heights. I'll say Lipany. Let's go with Caleb. What do you think?
Hold on. Give me 2 seconds. I gotta pull up the map pool.
It doesn't have to be in the map pool. Let me qualify that. It doesn't need to be in the map pool either. It could be any map that you've seen.
Yeah, but this at least gives me guidance, because otherwise I'm gonna have like 100. I think I don't know. I like Highview. I think Highview is an interesting map. I know some at least it used to have some janky spawns.
Highview, okay, I respect that.
I was tilting a little towards Highview as well. Just
really,
it does play with stealth. It's like an open map, but with the stealth forests and the lack of vision, it plays like a closed map.
Yeah. But you can't like wall it off super well. I mean, there's some spots, but
so it's like open for raiding, but like vision wise, it's I think Highview is a really interesting map. I'm looking through some maps right now. I like tournament maps. I like Frisian Marshes. I think that's
that's a good one.
An interesting map with just all the food, all the sheep on there, and then another one of those situations where spawns are sort of set by the map, where you're always spawning on like the same line of the map as your opponent. I think that's really interesting. And also like the stealth forest in the middle, and then like just all the food going up on the outside. That's a cool map. Taking a look here, I've always enjoyed playing on Gorge, another one of Bidderlyn's maps.
Special?
Yeah. Which is an open map with like, it's kind of like a 3-lane sort of thing, except it's not really, but it plays like it because there's, you're basically playing in a valley, and there's hills to both sides of the players. There's only one real wood line near like your base that's safe, and it's pretty small. And then you can go up on the outside of the map to like get extra resources, but it's all pretty exposed. And then there's basically nothing in the middle on the way to your opponent except for like a sacred site. Like if you go straight up the center. And then there's like cliffs on the side where you can stick like a scout and get pretty crazy vision over the middle of the map. I enjoy playing and casting Gorge quite a bit.
Map. That's a good
Gorge
tourney map.
Really good, yeah.
Bidderlyn, what's your favorite map?
Ooh, I'm trying to think. So I won't pick any of my maps, right? It's not fair.
You can go ahead and pick yours.
You've made such good maps. It's fair.
He's like, I'm awesome, so I'm going to go with this one. Hey, listen, sometimes I got to.
I mean, I've been talking about Golden Heights because I'm really happy how it came up, right? So I'm happy. But I also really like you said Frisian Marshes. I think it's a great map, right? And I also like Tempe. I feel like it's kind of underrated. I see it in tournaments. I feel like it's like
Tempe. I think I've seen Tempe before.
It's like a lighter Altai. It has 4 sacred sites, but they're pretty exposed between the players, and they're spread out. I feel like it's a really nice, different take about the game. Like it's the way I like to make maps. Like it's a different. It changes the meta, but it doesn't change the balance too much. So I really like it.
Okay.
There are like several more. Like if I will open the list now, I just I have a brain freeze when I get asked, but I will probably name like 10 maps which I really like. And so I would say like among the best maps are like Tempe, Frisian Marshes. I really like Cauldron. I know people like. I know it's a kind of Cauldron.
Cauldron's
good. I like Cauldron. Cauldron's good.
Yeah. I'm trying. I forgot the name. I think Bohemia is really good. If I remember the name correctly.
I didn't play too much Bohemia. I've seen it. I think I've casted a game of Bohemia.
It's like Dry Arabia with mountains.
Oh,
yeah. Basically. I think like it maybe doesn't do enough to change the formula, but I think it plays really fun. Like I think it's on par with Dry Arabia, which is a lot to say, right? So I would definitely put Bohemia out there. I mean, I could keep going with many maps, and I don't want to. Now I feel like on the spot because I don't want to not give a shout out to any map designer, which I forget. But I think those 4 are probably good calls. Like if I had to make a tournament and I would see 4 of those maps in the pool, I would be like, yeah.
That'd be a good turning pool, yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I'll go with this 4. Yeah.
Bidderlyn turning on the way, all his map pools. I'm with that.
Dude, that'd be fun. The map man himself giving us like a attorney certified maps.
Yeah, it's quality right there. And one thing I will say, really quick, before we move on, I'm looking at one thing between Dry River and Rocky Canyons, and those maps look very similar.
They do.
Is it just a stone in the middle between the two?
On the Dry River, it doesn't has the puddles as well.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So maybe this little outline I'm looking at is making me, because those three right there, I see, and I also used to mix up Canal too. I'm actually realized, I'm starting to see now where my Pee-wee brain started coming in here. Okay, I'm seeing it now. Because like that, I always mixed up Dry River and Rocky Canyon.
Everyone does.
Now I'm starting to now I think by actually looking and studying it, I'm really not starting to see the difference. Some people reference them, I know more. But those also are good maps.
They play differently. Yeah, they play differently, but they do look kind of similar. I wish they weren't.
I like the concept of it though a lot. I wish this map be so good in ranked map pool. Looking at this list actually upsets me about the rank. The rank map pool is okay.
Hey, we got Golden Heights in there. We got Golden Heights in there.
We got man. Listen, I'm gonna keep shouting the mountaintops to get all these maps in here eventually. I'm trying. Hey, I'm working for you off the clock, Bidderlyn. I'm working for you off the clock.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
So Bidderlyn, you brought up some really good thoughts about when you're making a map. Especially, I think most players who are really involved in AOE tend to lean towards wanting more balanced maps. I know like casual players who just start in, like I remember this is horrible, but when I was first starting to play a little bit AOE 2, right before I got into AOE 4, my favorite map was, don't hate me, Black Forest. Because I just wanted, to wall off and just be safe for a while. And now I realize the error of my ways. That's a horrible way to play. It's way too closed off. Like obviously that's not a good map for those reasons. It's got a place in the game for sure, but it's not a competitive map by any means. But I like your thought of how if you need to make a Dry Arabia, but it needs to not be Dry Arabia to be a really balanced tournament map. And that is so hard. And we've touched on that too. Like that's so difficult to do that.
Yeah, exactly.
And then you also brought up another thought of how like certain maps are balanced for certain civs. And we were wondering, and this is a question that Beale came up with, it was how much of a sin, how bad is it to create a map that favors certain civilizations?
So for a tournament map, it will probably be pretty bad, but I will get it depends, I will get to that. But if you just make a map to play with friends, I think nothing is a sin, right? Like if you enjoy Abbasids and you want to make a map with 1,000 berries, go for it, it's fine. But if you make a tournament map, you do want to make the map not very civ dependent, but it doesn't mean you have to limit your creativity, in my opinion. So for example, you can have extra deer on the map, which sounds like, oh no, Rus will be good, but you can limit Rus in other ways, like maybe the deer will be over the water, or maybe there are no wolves, maybe there is less wood, some stuff that will hurt Rus, and you have to take into account which civ benefits from which element you put on the map. So it doesn't mean you can't put element of the maps. I hear it a lot, like in the modern communities, that, it's impossible to make maps for Age of Empires 4 because everything you do, it limits play style. I think it's not true at all. I think it's even more interesting than any other RTS because you really have to consider how you go about it. I don't think you can't do stuff you want. And I mean, you can do anything and still have a balanced gameplay. You just have to be very sensitive about it. And you have to test it a lot. You have to consider all the variables. But you can definitely go into creative approaches. And I think we prove it with every new tournament, crazy new maps. Like you say, this is never going to work. Like it's going to be broken for this civ. And it ends up not being a lot of times. Sometimes maps kind of get proven they were wrong, right? But most of the time, I feel like as models get better and tournament organizers get better and there are also balance testers who help us test our maps. Get better, so we know what we can do and what we can push, and we can get more creative without breaking the meta, but instead refreshing it. And so I really don't think it's a sin to add different elements to map, but maybe it is a sin to make it one civ flavor, right? But I don't think you have to do it in any case. You can always think of a creative approach to make all civs viable while having like a creative map, right? So yeah.
That's really interesting. Man, I got so much respect for you to be able to make maps that are balanced. I feel like that's like we've joked many times that we don't envy the devs of this game at all, because balancing the civs just from a technical standpoint of just what the units all do and the technologies do, that's hard enough. Then you got to take into account what the maps look like and how maps affect different civs. The balancing of this game seems to be like just so difficult to do. And I think we would agree that overall, the balance of this game is pretty dang good, given how asymmetric all the different civilizations are and how many of them there are now as well. Yeah. I'm just thinking of all these maps now. It's amazing how when we start doing this podcast, I get really eager to play again. And I'm looking at some of these custom maps that you've made. I'm just like, man, I want to play on some of these maps. We've got a list of some maps that we don't love or things that we don't like about them. And we just want to pick your brain a little bit and see what you would maybe do differently with them. Now, obviously, these maps have their own place in the game. I don't mind some of these as much as others do. I'm sure some of these I hate more than others. But we've got a couple of maps we would like to talk about. First of all, Hideout is kind of a legacy map that came. I remember seeing this one in Age of Empires 2. I don't like this map. I know some of the other guys don't love this one. It feels very odd, very, very odd map, especially in multiplayer games. I think it gets even weirder. This one just being so closed off with so much wood. Actually, I'll really open up to the other guys too. What do you guys not like about this map, first of all? And then I wonder what Bidderlyn would, if he were to redesign it, what he would maybe do. Maybe if we can just get him on the spot.
I mean, you pretty mentioned with the Civ, just very Civ dependent on Hideout. It's like, is this map still like the Roost baby, right? Like where Roost is just pretty much shoot in for a nice W. Is this the map? Hideout was the one with the Roost?
Yeah, because of all the wood in the center and the fact that it's not like it's super simple to defend your entire base with like one Kremlin and shut off the opening and get all that passive gold. With Hideout, I struggle in just having my army in the wrong place because the middle is impassable. So I
a long way around for anything. Yeah.
Right. You've really got to go way out of your way to raid. And if you go the wrong way and your opponent goes the other way and they're just a little bit faster than you, then it's so hard to get all of your units back to defend. Hideout does frustrate me quite a bit.
I think Hideout suffers from a similar problem as Prairie, where it's because the balance of this game is very precarious. It breaks it a little bit, i.e. with, if you pick Roost on Hideout, you automatically have this crazy bonus because of your built-in synergy with trees. And Prairie with like the Malians, where you have like these huge golds right at your base. You just get, that little boost right off the bat because of kind of the innate things of certain civs. They just tilt a little bit too far in like one direction, and then it kind of makes the gameplay a little more one-dimensional, less dynamic, because of those kind of the scale tilting just a little bit too much.
So now obviously we don't expect Bidderlyn to just automatically fix these maps for us and then force that into the game. But I'm curious maybe what he would have what you would do, Bidderlyn, if you were trying to make a map that was similar. Maybe like what are some thoughts you'd have on how it could be better maybe?
Yeah, okay. So I'll touch on making maps for the game against making maps for tournaments, right? So I think it's a lot easier for me to make maps for tournaments because I have to make it for I have very specific. I know my audience, right? Like when you make a map for the game, you make it for everyone. So you can never please everyone. It's very important to know.
Yes.
I mean, with Dry Arabia you did, but congratulations. But when you make maps for the game, you have to cater to everyone. And I do know that Hideout is liked by the majority of casual players, right? And you mentioned the Rus, and for example, I think so. Bimes and maps, they go hand in hand a lot of times. So to cater to Hideout specifically, you might have noticed the Rus doesn't get as much gold from trees with their hunting cabins, right? Like another problem occurred with the Kremlin instead, with the Kremlins on Hideout. But there are attempts to make maps and gameplay align with each other, which is something like it's a very big undertaking the game is taking on itself, because we as modders we know what are the problems. Like we see the game, we see the season after it came out, we know what is good, what is bad, and when we make a tournament map, we know everything we should avoid and everything we should cater for. And imagine you have to make a map without knowing how the pros will play or what is good, what is not. It's much harder. And not to mention that when you make a map for the game, you have to have it work not only for 1 versus 1, you have to make it work for like 2 versus 2 and FFAs, and you have to think of all good stuff. And I actually think Hideout, I will say it's a great team game map, right? Like I think it's one of the most fun team games map, where everyone in his role, and like you choose which lane the whole team goes to attack, and I think it's really fun. And and there is the chop through shenanigans, and I think maybe in 1v1 I don't like this map as much as some of the other maps I play, but in team games I definitely think it's up there, And maybe when this map was made, it was more thought for team games, right? Like you can't make everything work for everything and everyone. And considering it's working for casual players and it's working fairly well on team games, I do think it's a good map overall. I wouldn't say like I would improve it in any way, because let's say I improve it. Like let's say my solution is to, I don't know, let's remove the trade and make the woodland smaller for tournament. I'm just saying it like off the bat. I didn't actually plan it or something, right? Let's say it makes the map better, but does it make it better for team games? Maybe not, probably not, right? So every change you make that makes it better for a certain playstyle like solo ranked might make it worse for other playstyles. And what I believe is we shouldn't make maps more similar to it. Like, so everyone likes Dry Arabia, right? So maybe the solution is to make all maps like Dry Arabia, and I think not. I think maybe we need to make new maps that are more like Dry Arabia instead of changing the existing ones. I mean, let people have their fun with their maps that we don't like. We don't have to play them usually, right? We all wish the map pool would give us exactly the maps that we love, but it is what it is. And I hope that with more maps, we get better map pools and we get to play the way we like to play. And even if there are maps that are not to our liking, it doesn't mean they're bad. Sometimes it just means it's for other people, right? So that's my take.
That is a good take. I think we all will readily accept that. I mean, that's true too. And we've talked about how certain maps are better, or even certain civs play differently too in team games. And that is kind of the tricky thing, is you're balancing competitive play, you're balancing the casual play, and you're also balancing, I like your point about how team games come into play. A lot of people play team games. I've been playing more team games than not lately, just because I'm playing a little more casually this season than I have in seasons past. And that's a very good point.
And Hideout is great for team games, I feel like.
It is actually for team games. I never really thought about that. For team games, it's actually a lot more accessible and fun.
Yeah, and if you change the layout for 1v1, it means you also change the layout for team games, and probably for the world, right? Like everyone wants the perfect solution, but it's hard to. Yeah.
That makes sense.
That's a good point. I just had a map idea. We've joked actually. We've joked a couple times about like trying to make the worst map. Like, well, can we come up with like the worst map without just being like
they already did. It's called mountain clearing.
It's called mountain clearing. Oh, come on. Mountain clearing is not the worst, not by a long shot.
It's outside.
Not even outside. I'll say French Pass is a worse map than those. If you're especially for like 1v1.
French Pass is not.
French Pass is not my favorite, but I was thinking Hill and Dale is one of those maps that gets a lot of hate sometimes.
Personally, I like Hill and Dale.
People are it's kind of, people love it or they don't, and it depends on what civs they choose. It's very civ, like China does really good on Hill and Dale. So does like HRE. It has a very specific play style. And I really one of the things I'm taking away from what Bidderlyn said, and think about like why Golden Heights is so good, is because it kind of changes where you spawn, right? It changes the town centers on the same side of the map. Same with Frisian Marshes, right? You're on the same side. That's why those maps are so novel. I like the idea of like playing with that a lot too for maps. I think so often we kind of get into the trap of let's just make Dry Arabia or make something similar, and it gets hard to be creative. Like, man, I'm thinking of like a cool map. My cool map idea. I just was thinking about as we were talking about maps and stuff. Imagine a hill and dale, but instead of starting on the hills, both started on the dale.
Wait,
what's Dale? Dale is a valley. Dale is a valley. Sorry, it's an old word for valley. Oh, okay. So the hills and the dale is the middle part of the valley. So imagine both town centers started on like the other sides of the dale with the two hills on either side of them, on left and right.
Isn't that gorge?
I guess it's gorge. It's gorge. but like hill and dale though, like those hills have like entrance points. Like, I mean, gorge has got kind of just it's like 3 layers, right?
It's more open.
Yeah. Whereas this would be like 2 close spots with lots of like some resources on either side, but then you're in the middle. I don't know. It's fun to think about this.
Would you put the resources on the dale or would you move them to the mountain? Because right now the dale doesn't have that much resources, right? Maybe you'd put. That's a good question, because I like the gold being where it is. I think that's kind of fun. I would probably put more like deer packs and like food resources on the dales, on the hills, and leave the dales for gold and wood, and have like a lot of deer and berries on the 2 hills. So have like food there and then other resources down in the middle. Yeah, that's cool. I like it. I think it could work. It would require a lot of fruit.
We got the Bidderlyn stamp of approval.
No, I can't make it. So if anyone's listening, or if Bidderlyn wants to take it and make it, by all means, go ahead. I can't make it by any means, but I do not have the time to be as dedicated to learn how to make those. But
you got the stamp of approval. That's good enough. That's good enough.
Right there. You hear it here.
Hill and Dale has been a pretty interesting map recently. Just if you want to talk about like how much a small change of like moving 1 gold node off of the hill and putting it down into the dale, how much that has improved Hill and Dale. Where it seems like a little thing, like one little resource node that doesn't spawn in your base anymore. Completely like forces you much sooner to leave the protection of your base and get down fighting in the middle. Because I used to really not like Hill and Dale until this season, really, and now it's up there in one of my
most favorite maps.
Yeah, it's way less. Any map that is super campy, I'm not a fan of. Hill and Dale used to be way more campy, like just with that thick gold mine just sitting there chilling. People could just hang out on their base for a while, especially like I said, China, English, like those maps that don't need to be aggressive so early. It was not the best for me for Hill and Dale, but the new changes on Hill and Dale now with the smaller gold mine, I agree with you. Beale, that it's like, other than Gold Knights, I think Hill and Dale is my second favorite.
I've never disliked that map. I know Beale has disliked it in the past, and I've always liked it because I've always played.
We had an hour-long tournament game against each other.
Oh yeah, we did. Oh man, yeah, you and I went. It was like an hour and how long? It was like an hour and 10 minutes at least, right? It was up there. Oh man, that was one of the most fun games. It was one of the most exhausting games I've played too. We ground each other down so hard. It was an English mirror match as well, guys. So I mean,
oh my goodness, of course.
Beale and I were like, just imagine 2 like absolute juggernauts just duking it out. It was like watching Rocky go the distance with Apollo Creed. Okay, like it was. Oh wow, it was like beautiful. 9 rounds full on. Like we were being wheeled off in wheelchairs, being like, "Oh, there ain't gonna be no rematch." It was good. That was. Hill and Dale, it could be pretty campy, but what was I gonna say? Oh goodness, my brain just kind of now I'm getting all nostalgic.
Being the second map you can improve on, and we talk about campy.
Yeah, Altai. Altai is an interesting. Yeah. I think we've talked on this podcast about how we would fix Altai, and it's just a matter of the trade, right?
I think just the way the mountains spawn. I don't know why. I think Altai. It may be because I'm so unsuccessful. Like I lose. I think Altai is probably my least successful map, and I think a lot of civilizations like. I think every civ can kind of be played on it, but some civs just really take the cake, and I think that's English and China. Like English and China, I think especially China. Maybe I'm wrong, but I know English and China are just, you camp it out and you kind of I feel like Altai a lot of times goes the distance because of just those mountains in the center and how it can be so easily walled off, and you can start trading, and then you really don't gotta gotta break out into the map until way later. Like, I don't know, Altai to me, I don't know. I maybe get a expert opinion, Bidderlyn. I don't know if you chiseled down those mountains to non-existent, but it will kind of make it like it'd be I don't know, like if that will make the map just completely ruin the whole identity of the map to take those mountains out.
Yeah,
but you just want to play on Tempe. Let's be honest. You just want to do it.
Is that what Tempe? So like
that's
maybe
Tempe. Yeah, right. It's like a modified Altai.
It's like me. I basically want like a jousting fields for 1v1. That's kind of like what I like, where you just spawn right across from your enemy. And it's probably the most basic way you can make a map ever, but spawn right across from your enemy when those mountains are gone. And I would love it at that point. But the mountains, like, and they're not full mountains either. They have like they're like 4 mountain ranges in the center. You can kind of go through it's hard to scout for sheep. I don't know. Like,
that is the one thing I dislike about that map is I feel like the sheep scouting, you either pick the right way to go or you don't. And there's not a lot you can do about it. But I my biggest thing is that the trade is difficult on that one. And China, I think China is just, this is why we talked about our favorite maps. My least favorite map is I definitely think Volcanic Island right now. I wanted to like this map so much. I love the idea behind it, but I have gone 0-3 on it this season, and I've been against China every time. And I have tried mixing up my strategy every time, and they've done the same thing to me by just holding up, like building stone walls, keeping me out. And I have done everything by raiding. I've tried booming with them. I've done a couple different things, and then they always just end up fireland. Hey, one time 2 times I've actually ground them down and was beating them, and then they just fire lancered me down. And it's just like, and I think that's more my problem with China than the map, because I just have not played against anyone other than China on Volcanic Island. But that map falls into some of the same traps I think that Hideout does on a 1v1 at least. Because I like the idea of having some mixed in fishing with, like, I like maps that break what you normally do. That's why I think Golden Heights is so good, because it's not a full water map.
Not at all.
But that water can't be ignored either. If you go water uncontested, it is enough to swing the game in your favor. It's such a dynamic, but there's also, you have to plan for it right off the bat because it's far away. It's such a good map.
I know back when we're talking, I can talk about Golden Heights forever. I want to, Bidderlyn's, you know what I'm saying? He's fine. I'm happy I can make somebody feel better about their creation, because I think that, Golden Heights is like, that could be, if you want to do something a little different, that's a gold standard right there, because you don't need water to win either. Like, I've gotten water and like lost still, because water is only like a quarter of the map. It's only in that far right corner the water's at. So like, really, we're actually off topic. We're talking about Altai. Like, but yeah, because I could talk about Golden Heights for a minute, but I just felt Altai. I feel like the way the mountains spawn in there is where it gets weird for me. Like, I don't like if it was just a full, like, just two really long mountain ranges in the center, maybe I'll like that more. But like the fact that they split off they're basically like a quarter each. So like you can go through the center. It's an odd map, and it's very, like I said, and scouting and trade. So scouting and trade is my 2 biggest problems outside. And I don't know what can be improved. Maybe a certain person might have an idea.
Maybe. I agree with your point. I think like the scouting is not good on Altai. I think that's all the levels, right? It's not just it affects everyone, right? And about the trade, I think it's okay to have some trade maps. I don't know if Altai should be a trade map. Like, I don't know if we have a French pass, right? Like, should we have 2 trade maps? The same was with like Hill and Dale. We had like Hill and Dale, which was a campy map, quote unquote, and we had Mountain Pass, which was a campy map. But we actually need 2 of those. So Hill and Dale was.
I forgot about Mountain Pass. That's a good one.
Yeah. Mountain Pass is basically like the noob-friendly map. Like, it's where
I hate Mountain Pass.
I love it because every time I have to introduce the game to new players, and they feel like super exposed, and like they can be attacked from so many directions. Oh, just play this map, wall here, learn to play. That's how I.
Yeah.
My best China map, my best China game was on that map actually against a Mongol, and I held off some early rushing. It took a long time for me to get him out of my side of the map. And then I had to like wall off. Eventually, it was like way late to wall that in, but eventually I took control of my side. I actually dropped a keep in his trade line in his back as well. That was a lot of fun.
That's brutal.
Oh, it was a fun game. I went in full Imperial. In the end, I ended up crushing. It was one of the most fun games. I like those campy maps every now and then,
Yeah, I guess every map pool needs at least one good campy map. It's never. I mean, I'm more of an aggressive player, so like that's probably why
most people are. But yeah.
Yeah, like I'm like, dude, you walling up, nerd. Like I'm like just. So I just want to just fight nonstop. But like that's probably my problem too in the game because I don't really know how to camp.
I'm going to ask you guys a question, then ask Bidderlyn a question. But the question I'm asking you guys, you don't necessarily have to answer. It's just kind of food for thought. Mm-hmm. Do you think that the problem with the ranked map pool isn't necessarily there being quote unquote bad maps, but too many redundant type maps? So like Hillendale and French Pass in the same pool feels really bad, but if it was just one, and maybe it wouldn't be as complained. You know, maybe it's more of a selection issue.
That's good. That's good outlook on it. It's a good outlook on it.
Yeah, and then for Bidderlyn, what do you think about? And obviously the game isn't like that, so it doesn't matter. But what would you think about having maps made for 1v1 and maps made for team games? It's kind of separate. So like instead of having hideout just expand into team games, having like 1v1 and team game specific maps.
Should I answer or do you guys want to go first?
You can go ahead.
Okay, cool. So I think I think it would be great to have maps that are specifically made for a specific type of play. Like maybe we can have, a map that is only for 1v1. But I think that the issue with this is how it will be transparent to new players. What's going to happen? So imagine you have like hideout 1v1 and hideout like team games. Imagine you're a new player, you play hideout on team games. Now you change to hideout 1v1. You already expect something. So I think it's bad for the game to subvert expectations of players in a bad way. Like they have to fail, like to trial and fail, basically to understand. Oh, this is different. So I think it's an issue. Like in tournaments or like if you make a custom lobby, I think that's fine. I think that's great even. But when you actually have different types of pawns in the game, then it's kind of it's changing. When you basically ask for the players to know all the types of spawn on all different configurations, which is a lot to ask from the player. But yeah, I do agree that it would play better eventually. But is it worth the sacrifice that you make? That's a good discussion, actually. I don't know.
Yeah, it kind of raises that barrier to entry a little bit for the different game modes, and almost kind of make people choose a game mode type.
Exactly.
I'd love to chime in on this a little bit. I think that to an extent I agree with Bidderlyn. I do think that you want to make sure that you're getting a similar experience, and it's easy to jump from team games to like 1v1s, but there is a difference between like quick match and ranked, right? And I think this is where the most complaints come from my passive observation. I could be wrong, but from what I've been kind of seeing in the community is that most people don't mind all the wacky maps being in quick match. Like French Pass, Hillendale, all those maps in quick match, sure. That's kind of where that feels like it belongs. In ranked, I feel like there's a bit of a perception of like that's where it is supposed to be a bit more competitive, tourney-like style, right? We're going to see, we don't want things to be influenced by necessarily the map choice as much as our skill against our other player. Obviously, the map does have something to do with that, but obviously in a tourney map, the idea is to have that be on even footing for both players, regardless of the civ they pick, right? And so I feel like it maybe in ranked map pool, I think it would benefit from being a little bit more choosy as to what kind of maps go there. Like they should be more standard. I think there should be always a water map in ranked, right? There should always be, I think, at least, I think Lipany and Dry Arabia should always be in the ranked 1v1 map pool, right? And team games too, I suppose.
I kind of agree. I think those like the gold standard.
The gold standard should be there. I do think they should have a map like Golden Heights or maybe Four Lakes. Like I should have a mixed map as well in there somewhere, or a gorge, or like one of those other more interesting maps should be there as well. That should be rotating in and out. I do think the map pool needs to be varied. I do like the idea too that what you said, Caleb, about having like, is it bad to have like two of the same type of map in a game? And I don't necessarily think that would solve the problem. I think French Pass is going to be disliked no matter what if it's always in the ranked pool. I think people will dislike it because it's too campy.
Well, yeah.
Regardless.
I think
I do think it would help. I do think having only one type of map in like the ranked map pool would help. That said, if you did that, if we were more choosy, let's say in a theoretical world of like what maps are in the ranked pool, maybe you take away the vetoes then. If you know that all the maps, of course, that might just make people mauled instead. That might be a bad idea, but like,
I don't know.
If all
I don't
the
think we
maps
take
were,
away vetoes.
yeah, maybe not. But like, maybe that's why they double up certain types of maps, right? That way you do kind of have to play certain map styles eventually, you know?
I guess, but then like the problem with doubling up and giving vetoes is that you then, I'm going to use my vetoes to ban the turtle maps so I don't have to play those instead of like, I don't know, tactically banning like of spread. I don't know. Just like having too many feels like they're trying to force you to play that kind of map. And then the question is why have
vetoes in the first place, unless you really dislike a certain map or the other. Yeah. There could be a whole discussion on that, I bet. We are taking up a lot of time doing this, guys. So we've already gone over an hour. Bidderlyn makes for a great discussion catalyst, I think. We can just talk about stuff forever. Someone put the pit on here as to how to improve this map. Personally, I love
offended.
The pit. I like the pit a lot.
I don't know who made this list.
I think this is Beale. I like the pit.
I feel like a 10% win rate on that map.
I do too.
I could see Beale be like, where are my sheep at? I like the pit. I think I like the way it plays out. I think it'd be fun to have an inverse pit. So like maybe call it the mound.
The mound.
And have it be exactly the same instead and have it, knocking the hill, because the pit does not have any way to get up on the sides, right?
Yeah.
Have it be just inverse. So you've got two lowlands and then one mound over that you can't, because King of the Hill is like a circular hill. This would be just a flat, like one, you go across the mound to your enemy's base. There's no other options.
Yeah.
That'd be interesting. It'd be kind of like King of the Hill, but it'd be like an inverse of the pit. That'd be fun.
I kind of like that. Sock, you might have to start investing in your coding, dude.
Yeah, I know. I think
some extra sheep tourney going.
I mean, a lot of these maps, how do you make Dry Arabia better? You just got to make Dry Arabia, but make it slightly different, right? Like, how do you make the pit better? Or just make
the hills. It's easy, right?
Just inverse the hills. As long as, with water and stuff like that would obviously make things very difficult. But on a land map, inversing the altitudes and stuff just makes for interesting play, I think.
I got you. I don't mind that.
I think it might be a little more interesting if there was more altitude mechanic. But I
wish this game had a bit more of a high ground bonus for damage. I miss that in AoE 2. That's one thing I really wish was implemented in this game, because I do feel like that would make things very. I think that would add a whole another level of interesting like tactics.
It would put a little more emphasis on micro and when you do and don't take a battle.
It's actually possible with modding, because when the game was made, there was actually like some bonuses to elevation, like knights couldn't charge uphill and such.
Ooh.
It's still in the game. You can pull it and use it in your mod. Like, people did it, so that's why I'm telling. Like, it's not like a NDA or anything. It's in I think there is a mod for it. Maybe it's taken down things, but it's in the game, so you can pull it out and publish it and play with elevation bonuses, basically.
Interesting. That's neat. I don't know
why
that.
they pulled it out. It'd be bad feedback, I guess, maybe, but
maybe. Because you don't want it to. I guess the tricky thing is you don't want it to affect things too much, right? Because if it's all just high ground, then it just becomes a mini game of who can take the higher ground in fights, and you automatically win. I think in the end of the day, they wanted the rock paper scissors of the units to be the chief foremost deciding factor in fights.
Exactly. Sorry, go ahead.
I do think a small bonus, or maybe even it was like just a vision a little bit more. I know that you can see into like the pit if you're above, but not up and out. Maybe like slight vision increases. There are things I think that could still be added. That'd be really interesting. But you don't want to overdo the bonuses of that. Otherwise, it detracts from the core aspect of the game, which is why I would guess, as not a dev, they probably said, this isn't quite fitting. If I had to be speculative, but
I actually really like the way it only affects vision in this game, because, as you said, you have to emphasize more like what composition you have with your units and how do you engage the battle than taking a hill and sit on it, because it would probably make for more campy games if you add elevation bonuses, and also not to mention that if you add elevation bonuses right now, it will basically break half the maps. They would play very So I think it's great how it is now, but it will definitely be interesting. It will be interesting. It will be different, but I wouldn't change it personally.
Yeah,
that makes sense actually.
I know the other map that's on here is Prairie. This is a controversial map because it's really good for certain civs, not good for others. It's a difficult Prairie is difficult. There just is not enough wood on this map.
None.
At least not near. And I think that's the biggest flaw of this map. If it just had one solid wood line that was decent for each,
I would love the map.
Yeah, then I think that'd be my personal fix for Prairie. I don't know if Bidderlyn would do anything different with this one because I do like the difference of this map. It feels very unique. Yeah. I love the double sheep because I just love hearing that beautiful bell. I love hearing that like a million times on the map.
We're not biased here on this.
Not at all. Not on the extra sheep. No, not one bit. I think the lack of wood is the most frustrating thing on that map, though. What would you say, Beale? Is that why you have it on this list?
Yeah, and I mean, I really want to like Prairie because I love open maps, but it does turn into like with HRE, you can plop right down on that giant gold mine that's right near your base and maybe even in town center range, and can basically just get up to castle with all of that extra sheep on the map. You can throw down the Ak and cover the gold and all that sheep, and just play really close as HRE, and then explode with like a Burgrave, having the food still at that point to support just a men-at-arms flood.
That sounds like a good time to me.
No, of course, I wouldn't doubt it. That sounds great for you. It's not like a 7-minute castle. I feel like 7-8 minute castle you can get on that with the HRE with all those sheep if you scout well enough. Like as an ABBA main, this is not my favorite map.
I was gonna say, I feel like there's some wood players in this game.
I feel like I love my trash units, and there's not a lot of wood. It kind of breaks my heart, but I don't think it's a bad map.
It kind of goes
just
back
build
to
premium units. It's fine.
Exactly.
www.buildmorenights.com.
Exactly. It's a premium unit map. Okay, this is for the big spenders. This is Prairie.
Well, it kind of goes back to that question of, is it a sin to make a map really favor certain playstyles and certain civs? And I guess, Bidderlyn gave us a great answer that not necessarily, right? It's really not a bad thing per se. I guess when it comes to like competitive play, obviously this might not be the best choice, or it's going to always lend itself to certain matchups. And I think that's the key as to why people like and dislike certain maps is we have preferences as to how we want to play the game, right? And we have preferences as to who we play it against as far as civilizations go. And certain maps, when you don't have the choice of what map you play every time, you're going to end up with ones that make you play not your play style. And for Beale, I'm guessing Beale and like Nevels, but Prairie is not a big win. For me, I usually do okay on Prairie as long as I don't pick a civ that's really wood dependent. If I go HRE on this one, I usually do pretty good. Sometimes I'll go French and have a fun time as well.
Oh, French is good.
French is pretty good on Prairie, yeah.
Yeah, French is pretty good on Prairie.
Yeah, you got me with this list of maps. These are all maps I have low win rate on.
Note to self.
Altai quick match. I think I'm undefeated.
That's amazing.
You just play English, and then you build a white tower on their base.
Yeah, there you go. That's why I hate that map. But no, I think Bidderlyn kind of hit the nail on the head though. I'm saying like, basically, I think that I believe that a lot of these maps too. I don't think when they're made, I think it's unintentional. They favor a civ. Like I don't think there's I think when they made Prairie, they were like, oh, this map's gonna go crazy for the French and HRE. Like I think it's just the way some civilizations play naturally. If you play a certain way, and like you said, there's really not much you can do. It's like you can't make, like Bidderlyn said, you can't make everybody happy. I'm pretty sure people out there, some campers love Altai, and they love maps like that. Like where me, I like to get fighting early. I like to get the units on the field early if I can. So when I'm playing a map that is very easy to defend and it can't do much damage early in the game, of course, my biased opinion is going to, raise, and I'm going to be like, this map sucks. I can't even harass the French on this map. But so it's not necessarily a knock on the map, maybe just a knock on me. Maybe I need to evolve as a player.
Maybe I've been the problem.
Maybe I've been a problem this whole time.
I'm the problem, it's me.
No, I don't like these maps.
I mean, these maps suck.
Too good. Too good. Well, we've actually gone through most of these questions that we had. Bidderlyn did such a good job of just answering half of these as we were doing the first half of them. I guess, gosh.
Yeah, I did want to throw a couple things out. Because there was someone who posted on the AOE4 Reddit a couple weeks back, this guy who was just like getting into map making, and took some like design inspirations from his friends, like asked his friends about, come up with a theme for a map and I'll try to make it. And he published 4 maps recently, and I went through, I played them, 3 of them, on my stream, and we did a couple of 1v1s on each map. And it was really fun going through and kind of trying to pick out like, okay, this doesn't work right now. What could he do to improve this? But where should I direct a person like that in the future? Now I guess I know that there's a modding Discord for AOE4. I don't think the guy was probably aware of it, but it was just really nice to see like, oh, this guy trying to build some 1v1 generated maps. And
what was that one you and I played, Beale? What was the name of that one where I went with the Chinese, or you were Chinese and I went, what was I, HRE?
It was Ball something, because there was 2 giant wood lines in the middle, like 2 dots, and then there was no wood behind your TC. There was just a tiny trail of wood patches up to the middle. It was really interesting.
It was a decent map. It wasn't too bad. It was interesting. Yeah, we were very far apart because our TCs were like right on the edge of the map, but so it felt really big. But it was a fun map.
Hey, Bill, was one of those maps one of the ones that we completely dominated on, dude? Which one was that?
That one. Oh, that one was awful. It was super closed off. Imagine Black Forest, but with mountains everywhere.
Village, listen, man. We're just a dream team. We're like Scottie Pippen and Jordan out there. It's no big deal.
Exactly how to win one.
Yeah, dude, that was a fun time. I like that map.
I'm sure you did. I'm sure I wasn't on the losing team at all. Not me.
That was a good time. It's a good time. And it was on stream, documented. Go look it up. Look at the vibe somewhere out there. Documented. Domination. But yeah.
So, I was also wondering, Bidderlyn, have you like created maps for other genres, or have you done like FPS maps or encounter designs for tabletop RPGs, stuff like that?
Yeah, I make like board games and tabletop games for many years, like only as a hobby. I mean, I do kind of sell them from time to time, but I'm not big on that or anything. I just do it for fun. So when I think there is like a lot of similar concepts when you make maps for any game, and I think the main concept is it's not about the map, it's about the game. Like, how do I make the game shine through my map? So if you make a map, for Age of Empires, you want to shine on a new meta, or you want to shine on a certain play style, and you want to make a balanced gameplay. So you want the game to shine, basically. You want players to be able to think of different landmarks for your map and engage with the map, be interactive with it. And I think that's true for any map you make. Like when I make, for example, tabletop maps, I'm trying to think of how I tell this tabletop stories through the map. Like when they go here, I can trigger this and that, and here is the centerpiece everyone will be like concentrated with when they go through the map. And and I think a lot of time when people make maps, they try to think about a singular. I'm trying to sorry, it's my English is a little bad sometimes. I'm trying to.
Oh, you're good.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks. So I think, for example, it's really easy to screw up with maps because. And I screwed up with a lot of maps, like even in Age of Empires. I think I made more, because I made more bad maps than anyone, right? Like I made a lot of good maps, maybe, but I also made a lot of bad ones. And I think it's really important to suck a little bit, to suck for some time and get better and understand what it is about the map and what it is about the gameplay that makes the map shine. So, like, you might think like, oh, I like choke points map. Let's make the map a giant choke point. But then it's not fun to play for some reason, and you have to like realize why it's not. And it's really important to show it to other people and realize what it is that makes the map good. And that's true for all games, for all genres. And it doesn't matter what you are trying to make. Just make it, get feedback, and never be afraid to suck. And that's true for like all game design. Just get play tested and get good. It's like you will never get. If you will only watch build orders, you will never actually be good at the game. You have to play the game. That's true for maps. If you only think about maps, you will not actually be good at making maps. It's weird to say, but it's true. Like when I thought I can, when I made my first map for Age of Empires 4, even I was like, oh yeah, I got this. But that was a suck. But because you might have 10 good ideas, but the one bad idea will completely screw over the map. Like you talked about prairie, and you suggested let's add a wood line behind the player, and automatically in my head it was like that's a bad idea, because I think if you add a wood line behind the player on prairie, it will be a castle age fest, and HRE will be on this map. Like no one will. You will basically have enough food to go castle, and that's it. And you don't need the map even. Like what's the point about the map? So I think it's really hard. Like one single mistake, one single misplace of resource can screw over the map, and it doesn't matter how much like the idea you had was good if you don't give attention to the detail. So like try to think of how every detail affects every detail. Like if it's a tabletop design, when the players will be on this side of the map, how will they interact with the other side? Because that could completely screw over the map. Like if the player will go somewhere you don't want them to go, will the battle become too easy, too hard? Those kind of stuff can really screw over your map, and it's the devil is in the detail. So it's about it's also I'm saying a lot of stuff, but it's really that hard because there is so much stuff to consider when you make a map, and you just have to suck a lot and then get good. That's it.
I feel so much better myself now that I'll just remember that every time I'm sucking, it's okay. I'm getting there. I mean, they say being an expert takes 10,000 hours of doing something. So that definitely applies here. I think that's some people say. I don't know how minimum, it's not. Yeah, it's not necessarily a hard and fast rule, but obviously that it's the premise behind it's true. Like the longer you do something, the better you get.
Yeah, it makes sense. Mm-hmm. And I feel like it's rewarding. You see yourself come up. You maybe were a little shaky at first, and now you can look back and be like, man, look how much better I've gotten. Like it's like a little bit of a motivator too. So that makes sense. Yeah, most definitely. You got to suck before you got to crawl before you can walk, and you got to walk before you can run.
I love it.
You don't have to be good at the start, as well. I think the most important stuff is dedication and passion, because that's what will help you to do good things. I don't think I was ever a great game designer to begin with, or a great map designer. I just had tons of passion and tons of I was always thinking about it, and that's what made me good, even though I wasn't inherently good.
Hey, that makes you really good. You're passionate about it. That's good stuff right there.
Yeah,
exactly.
Bidderlyn, thank you so much for all your insights, man. This has been so great.
Yeah, this has been really good.
I have one, final question. So in StarCraft, all the maps are stagnant. The minerals spawn in the same place and same patches and stuff like that. Do you think more for RTSs? Do you think it's? I guess it depends on the structure of the RTS in general. But do you think stagnation is better, or do you think diversity, in some maps, even tree patches spawn different places? They're dramatically different ways to have a similar genre of game.
You mean like generator crafting maps? Is that what you mean?
I guess so. Okay. I mean, so in StarCraft, you literally you click a map and it has exactly the same resource nodes at all exactly the same locations.
Yeah,
as opposed to this where they move the gold.
It's generated with seeds every single time.
Yeah, exactly.
I think what makes me like Age of Empires more than other RTS is just because it's not stagnant, as you say. It's vibrant and different. I think it makes it a lot harder. Like, it's so much harder to make maps for Age of Empires 4 than Age of Empires 2, because every civilization even plays different, and every RNG variable affects civs in different way. And I think it makes it so much harder, but also so much more interesting. And I also think as a player, it's much more interesting, at least for me. Like, you have to adapt to the map. You have to like consider the possibilities, right? It's not only, oh, I have to execute it this way. I have to, maybe I execute it different because, you know, his gold is in the back or his gold is in the front. And same for your map. Like, I really like that. But of course, there is a fine line you cannot cross. In some cases, like, I don't think it's good, like, that you can miss a resource compared to your opponent. Like if I have gold and he doesn't have gold, that's not a fun thing to adapt to, right? So there is a fine line. But yeah, I think that's what makes me love doing this so much, and why I think I don't see myself ever stopping from, you know, making maps just for RTS games like Age of Empires 4, because I like this difficulties. That's what keeps me interested in the game. That's what, also as a map maker and also as a player. So yeah, I think that's my answer.
Yeah, I like that. I think it's an intriguing thought to think of things that have stagnant maps, like League of Legends has the same exact map all the time, always. StarCraft has the same things, and then you have ones like you know, Age of Empires and stuff where they like generate randomly, or battle royales where it's like a completely different area, like each time you drop in or whatever.
You can technically make crafted maps in Age of Empires 4 and play those. Like, you can have crafted Arabia, but no one does it. And I think it's because the generated process is so much more appealing and so much more engaging. But
and I do agree.
That's a big win for me too. That's why I love like Lipany is my favorite map in particular, because the generation varies so much on that one. I feel like Lipany is like, even though like all the maps are generated in this game in like the actual like ranked pools, I feel like Lipany in particular has some of the most wild variations, which is what entices me so much that every single game I'm going into, it's the first time I've ever played this map, you know, like technically every time you hop in a map, unless you're playing the exact same seed that you did before, it's a whole new game every single time. And I think that's one of the best things about this game.
I think the reason why crafted maps haven't taken off for AoE 4 is because, like you were saying earlier, Bidderlyn, you make maps that emphasize the strengths of the game. And I think the rule set in Age of Empires really emphasizes having a random map every time. I mean, that's what Dark Age is for.
Scouting and stuff.
Is scouting and coming up with a plan of attack for the rest of the game. If it was crafted maps, like, that just takes out a big portion of the base game would have to be just completely different almost to make it intriguing.
I didn't think about that. Yeah, if it was crafted, you wouldn't really, like, I mean, I guess you would need a scout, but like you wouldn't know, like, okay, the train post is over there, so I'm gonna scout over here, because
Build orders would become so much more cemented.
Yeah. So I would think, so I think if it was all crafted, I mean, obviously it'd be a lot easier barrier to entry to the game, which we talked about in this, you know, the channel before. It's like just the barrier to entry. But I think it being generated, the barrier to entry is more difficult, but at the same time, I mean, the game has longer legs, because every time you play a map, you pretty much are playing it for the first time, which, you know, it's a pro and a con, but I think it's better for the sense of longevity of the game, because if the maps are all crafted, yes, players will be able to, you know, they will be able to get into it a little easier. They know exactly, you know, they can have a builder they can implement it every single time. They'll work the same way pretty much every time. But I think the game would get more stale, and some aspects of the game will become a little bit like just not necessary anymore.
Will be way more micro focused because the
most
game
definitely
like doesn't come down to your macro big level strategic abilities at that point. That's why StarCraft, the pros have way higher APM in that game, because that you don't need a scout in StarCraft. There's 3 civs, you know, on your map, you're playing Terran or whatever, going against Zerg. You've got your Terran versus Zerg build. You've been on this same exact map a million times, and now it just comes down to how fast can you execute what you want to do.
I mean, there is some scouting to determine what your opponent is doing early on, but it's not nearly to the extent of You're not scouting the map. You're scouting your opponent.
That makes sense. Yeah, that's a good question.
I'm not sure it's a con for new players too, because I think new players love to scout. Like, it's fun to discover what you have around you. And I think it's even like if the maps were crafted, it would be even a harder barrier of entry for new players, because all the players would know the maps by heart.
Yeah, that was my thought actually. Right. Yeah, is that the old players, the build order would be so ingrained. If you didn't follow the build order to a T, you'd be at such a more disadvantage. Whereas here, your build order is going to change based off of where your gold's at or where your stuff. Like not that your build order changes, but like after Dark Age, things can change a lot as to what resources you go for and what's close and what's far.
Yeah, I wouldn't say it's an easier barrier of entry. I say it shifts it, because instead of having to know a build order, you have to know what you're seeing on the map and what it means, right? Mm-hmm. As opposed to walking and going, this is how the terrain, this is how HRE builds on this map. You have to go, okay, my gold's forward. What does that mean? Yeah. Things like that. It just kind of changes where the knowledge has to be.
I definitely agree with the whole. This game is much more strategic, whereas like StarCraft is more
meta game instead of micro game.
Yeah, whereas it's more clickety click, which we're all old guys here. And I don't click as fast as I used to,
Oh my gosh.
Clickers don't work like they used to.
I say as I'm a 26-year-old in my prime.
I know, dude. I'm like, wait a minute. How old are we exactly? I'm like, wait a minute.
All right, guys.
I had to question myself.
I love this last question in bold. I don't know who put this, if this was you, Beale, but how many sheep could a metter gather if a metter could gather sheep?
I was thinking on that. I was is that a real question? I was really thinking on that.
That's funny.
Let's think about it. I think he wouldn't gather much. By the time he counts, there will not much sheep, but I would spawn 8 extra sheep, from the Anatolian hills for him. So there you go.
So the answer is 8. There we go. 8.
Oh wow, there you go. Wow, of course. Leave it to Bidderlyn to give.
The question is, would the metter scare the sheep away with the drums? That's the question.
No, they all start baying in time. They like it. They're all for the free music,
Yeah, it's like a sheep parade.
Sheep parade. They're all dude. A sheep parade. There we go. Oh man. Alrighty, guys. We've been going for quite a bit here. I think we'll take a quick break, and then we're gonna just keep talking about maps after my outline. I'm rambling a bit here. My outline had us going through our Reddit posts before the break. We've been going on for about almost 2 hours now. I recorded a little bit before we started too, so that might be a little shorter, but I think we take a quick break, and then I think our main segment will be just going through Reddit posts. And Bidderlyn, you are welcome to stay as long as you want and keep chiming in, or if you need to go, you're welcome to go. Either way, we really appreciate having you on the show, and thank you so much for all your insights.
Yeah, thank you so much, guys. I do have to go. It's almost 2 a.m., but it was really fun. And it was awesome to talk to you. Like, I always love to talk with people about the game, and you guys are all a conqueror at casting and and talking about the game. So thank you so much.
I appreciate it.
Thanks so much for being here, man.
Yeah, that was cool. It was a cool segment, man.
Yeah, thank you, guys. Bye.
Have a good one.
See you later.
See ya.
All right, and with that, we'll take a quick break, grab some water, and we'll be back to talk about some fun Reddit posts. Not a ton, but there's enough to at least have some fun. So we'll be right back, guys.
All right.
I'm gonna get some water. I'm like,
me too.
Back.
1 second.
All right, back in a bit.
Have you ever seen a knight in need, all alone on the battlefield with no one to call a friend? Well, moreknights.com is here to help. We're not asking for your money, we're asking for your heart. Adopt a knight today and give them the home they deserve. These knights are warriors, they're brave, they're strong, and they need you. By adopting a knight from moreknights.com, you'll be giving them a new lease on life. You'll be their companion, their confidant, and their battle buddy. So come on, give a knight a chance. Visit moreknights.com and start the adoption process. Who knows, you might just find your new best friend.
Adoptive parents of knights should keep their knights safe from harm, from harmful things such as town center fire, cannon emplacements, spears, and archer pilings. All adoptions are final. Please handle your knights with care. Visit www.moreknights.com for details.
moreknights.com, where knights become family.
Okay, how's that?
Oh yeah, you're good now.
Okay. Yeah, I think it was just got my AC units cranking. It's like 90 degrees outside, so my little unit's just going crazy. So I just turned it down a little bit, but that's okay.
Yeah, no, you're good now.
That was kind of ringing, wasn't it? Alrighty.
I was on. Let's show them before we started. Keep the quality good.
Gotta keep that quality content. That
quality,
silky smooth content.
That sure mic content. You know, we're sure brothers.
You have been sounding really good. Your new mic does sound pretty sweet.
Oh, I love it, dude. I talk way too much, and I just want to just talk just to feel official.
We are sure triplets. I'll have you know.
Oh wait, Caleb, you got a shirt too, right? A shirt mic?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, three of us. Beale.
Oh,
Beale.
Got a $20 Logitech headset.
hey, you sound pretty good though. You sound pretty good.
That $20 is getting a lot of work in.
Put in the work.
That's how it works. $20 Logitech headset. That's great.
Too good. And we're back. Boy, we were just chatting a little bit right before again. We were just thrilled to have Bidderlyn on. Big shout out to him and everything he's done for the game and the community. Really awesome to get him on here. That was a real treat for us. Hopefully you guys listening enjoyed it too. Our episode, we're going a little long today, so our main topic was going to be talking about maps. I think we've done that more than well enough in the first half of the episode. So I'm just going to nix that. We're going to go to some Reddit posts though, and then we'll go to Reddit posts and then probably our extra sheeps after that. So we'll wrap this one up in good time. On the list here, first post is, wait, where did my, what? Okay. Is an interesting post. This is posted by Screen Damn Bright is what the name. That's a fun username. But it says, the way I see it, I paid $5 per civ. And he's got just a list of all the civilizations in the game. And I just thought that was kind of a neat way to see it. Because there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, like what? How 10 civs now?
Was that game $60?
I think so.
Yeah, I think it was on launch.
Yeah,
like,
and it launched.
It went down to 40.
With 8. It launched with 8.
Yeah.
So,
but you take a look at the post, and he's got games count. Played 25 games with every single civ, except for Avatar.
Except for the one where
he wrote it
in. I love that. I love when people do stuff like that.
Wow, he's been going crazy this season. Is this off of this season? He's played that many games?
All patches, it looks like.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah, I do see that. Okay, I see now. He's going. That's a very
really even.
Player.
Yeah, that's a really even spread.
Player.
25 with everything, well, most everything.
Is it what, 15? The real number 15? I'm really insulted by this.
His pick rate is 13.5%, so I think it's 35.
Okay, good math. Wow, that was nice.
Yeah, pretty even.
But I'm a little disappointed about the Abbasid play. You need to up that up a little bit more. But yeah, that's excellent.
It's his most big civ.
Oh, wait a minute. Oh, did he? Oh, yeah. Okay, I'm seeing
like,
now. So all the other ones. Okay. I'm looking at something. That is his more big. Excuse me, and I apologize to him for even coming at him that way.
He's got a 62.9% win rate. You better back off.
You're right. That's actually. Listen, actually, I should be. This is on team rank though. That's okay though. That's okay. Team rank good too though. But you know what? Honestly, that should be
25 of each.
Yeah, actually, 13.5. That is his highest pick rate. Oh, I love this guy.
I didn't really have much discussion. I just thought that was a fun little thought. Like, if you break down, I do that with like hours played. So if I buy a game for like X amount of dollars, but if I put enough hours into it, eventually it's like I'm paying cents per hour. Like, I paid like a nickel for every hour I've gotten out of this game. That's totally worth my money, right?
Yeah, that's actually a great way to look at it.
So that's how I look at a lot of things.
So the next civ be $5 each.
Honestly, I don't give them ideas. Don't give them ideas. I would totally pay $20 for a new civ though. Honestly,
I would pay a weird amount for it. I'm
pay weird amounts. I would do things. I don't know.
Nevels would be like giving out ones to the devs, going, "Here you go." Trying to get the new civs.
Listen, I don't know how you quantify that in monetary value, but I'll give out weird amounts for a new
weird amounts. Here's $27.46.
46 cents, exactly. Confusing amounts. But yeah, okay, yeah. That's a great way to look at it, though, too. Great way to look at it.
Yep. Here's another post by Thigh Candy. What a name. Gosh, I love these usernames. Thigh Candy. They say, what's the best way to get vision of a keep landmark so you can attack from out of range? Do people just use scouts? Now, Yeah,
right?
towers. I think the thought here is that like against the Berkshire that's got like a crazy amount of range, it can be kind of hard to get your Trebs just in range to be able to see it.
That's a
I think that's something
You hit
probably
G
work
and
on
you
quality of life.
manually attack the.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the top comment
That
says
attack ground.
use attack ground.
Yeah.
Which I think most people forget that they can do.
I think that's just like a way we've figured out to solve it. I don't know if that's like the intended way. I don't know what the answer is, but there should be a way to be able to look at those from farther.
Yeah, because scouts die so quick. That is something I've noticed is like getting a scout out there and getting vision can be really difficult.
To keep it there is the problem.
Yeah,
because once you lose vision, it'll stop shooting. So you have to like micro your scout left and right to keep vision. And
actually, not to shout out, not to call out Sir Nevels here, but I was watching his stream yesterday. Also, you had a really good stream, by the way. You had like 50 people in there. That was impressive.
Yeah, I appreciate that. That was fun. It was a good time.
You were playing as Abbasid as you always do.
Of course.
And you were raiding. You were kicking this French guy's butt. You were just being disgusting, Sir Nevels. But you did one thing that I noticed. They were under their wood line, and you sent your archers in to try and hit them, and your scout went the other way with the men at arms and the spears going the other way, and you lost vision and couldn't. So your archers kept getting closer and closer until they got within town center fire because they were looking for those vills that they were right there, but they lost the vision because your scout ran the other way. And I was like, that was a huge mistake. Like that scout's so important right there when you're trying to pick off vills.
So important. A lot of people say that I will over APM myself into a GG. Just like I hear that a lot. And like I'm trying to do so much at once and I'm doing too much. And now I'm making a lot of mistakes mid battle that can cause me fights. But yeah, that's something
good long term though.
Yeah, I guess maybe when I get my actual like strategies together, then maybe APM can work out pretty smoothly. But right now, my APM will just completely over APM. So and people be like, why are you doing all this? You don't just attack ground and get you're just trying to save every single unit at once. Like, what are you trying to do?
Canceling the charge on knights is the worst. I do that all the time.
Oh, I do that all the time.
I wish there was a charge mechanic button. Like
I'll probably
if it's available, you can hit instead of like A move, I can hit like D move on, like hit D and then like or like G for attack ground, but like that way they charge if they have it available and they just charge. That'd be nice because I feel like I over micro that all the time. I don't know if I'd use it if it was there, but that's something I struggle with as well as far as over microing.
Yeah, that's been a big problem with me. So yeah, what we're saying is so is A move the way to like just get vision on keeps and landmarks?
Well, not A move. You got to use G. You have to use attack ground. A move will just make your Trebs do some stupid stuff.
Listen, I'm gonna say something that's gonna sound very stupid. G move. What is that? Okay, I swear I've never used attack ground. Like I've only A moved on the ground.
All right.
I've never used A move.
You can tell them to target a certain location. Like you can attack on that ground. Like you can do it with mangonels.
Mangonels is really good. If you have a choke point, you want to just keep peppering with rocks.
If you want to fake someone out, like make them dive away, but actually dive into where you're gonna shoot. You can do some fun stuff with attack ground.
Dude, is this a live extra sheep? I've never in my life used G move ever. I've seen that in a tournament one time where like one of the pro players shot over a wood line. With the mangonel.
Yep.
I was wondering, I was like, how's he doing that?
You attack ground and you're shooting. The trick is you're shooting blind. But essentially, that's a lot more like how, I mean, the funny thing is that's a lot more how it actually is with artillery and stuff like that, right? Is you're looking for the position, you're angling it, knowing, like you're using some trajectory and some math to figure out, I'm launching my projectiles this way. The ground over there is where they're hitting. You're not really looking at units. You're looking at area is where you're trying to hit. So
really quick, wait a minute. So attack ground isn't with the A move? Okay, I thought attack ground was A move because it had the attack starts with an A. So it was like A move, attack ground.
No, different. A move is saying so this is for those who are new to the game too, this is really good to know. There's a couple ways you can attack with your units, right? So when you've got your units, you can just right click on a unit and it'll attack that unit.
Yeah.
Okay, that's good because if you want to single out a single unit. However, if you get other units in the way, it's going to ignore other units and try and get just that unit. That can be problematic. A move, your unit is going to move in that direction. It will attack anything within its like aggro radius as it moves there. If it finds something, it'll fight them first, but it's going to try and move that area. Attack ground is saying, hey, mangonel, hey, whatever our siege you are, I want you to fire your projectiles at this location right here, this little spot.
Whoa. Oh my goodness. I've been building towers, getting villagers killed by like that's why the Berkshire, struggling with the Berkshire. I try to build towers to get visibilities or even houses.
This is where it would help a lot. If you have your traps, you know it's over there, you know about where it's at, you can hit attack ground and most shots will hit. If there's a chance where you might miss, but yeah, that's a way you could work around that.
That's a live extra sheep. I did not know. That's actually like, I'm really kind of disappointed in myself when I know that. I did not know this whole time, all these hours, I did not know pressing G will have a siege just fire in that direction.
I mean, in fairness, how often do you say Beale, Caleb? How often I don't feel like I use it that often.
I used it a lot more in the other games, like AoE 2 and
well, back then you needed a lot more.
You could destroy trees with it, so you would attack ground like a forest, and you could break down the trees and cut holes through places. That
would be an interesting mechanic to add to the game.
That would be.
The AoE 2 has it. With mangonels, you can do it.
That would be an interesting mechanic to add to the game. Be able to break trees with attacking them.
Would it get rid of the trees, or would it just make it easier?
Yeah, it like destroys the trees and cuts
destroy the resource.
Path. Yeah.
Oh, that'd be crazy on maps like high ground.
You can kill animals. You can kill the Gaia resources.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, you know what? I'm very happy you guys told me that today. I'm not saying I'm using it often, but like that is going to stop me from doing so many mistakes I've done before.
Yeah, again, it's not something I'd say I use every game. Even I don't use it very often at all. Every now and then, though, with a mango.
Seldom circumstances.
Yeah. Every now and then with a mangonel, especially if I am trying to shoot over something, or if I just know it, sometimes I'll use that. So, or if I'm trying to anticipate where someone's running to, I might hit attack ground, or like there are certain instances where it's useful. Sometimes if you're trying to like shoot something from like a hill and you've got like a big height differential, instead of like your stuff trying to pack up and roll around, or if you got like a wall in between you and wants to like get through the wall first, or it can't see and it starts rolling away. And imagine like your siege like packs up and starts walking away, trying to go around the wall. It's like, no, I just want you to fire over that spot instead. So when you A move, it's going to try and find to get over there first and then maybe hit. You can just attack ground sometimes to get over those and not have to worry about it as much.
I'm looking at the comments here and they're all saying the same thing. I didn't even.
Yep.
Wow. Well, thanks guys. I literally did not know. Okay, cool. Wow, that was great.
Yeah, so thanks to Thigh Candy for helping Mr. Nevels learn new things.
Thigh Candy.
Oh, that's too good. Too good. Okay, this is the next post. It was a favorite. This is probably my favorite post I saw. I was really excited to show this one to you guys. This is a video. I'm listening to it right now, so everyone on the podcast will be able to hear it. But essentially, you've got, if you're looking at it, you've got, looks like, I'll pause it right here for a second. It looks like we're on, this map looks like Golden Heights, actually, is what it looks like. So you got the camp on the upper side of Golden Heights. You got the Mongol base up top. They're in blue. You got an orange player who is somehow on a deer pack right below the blue player in the hill of Golden Heights. So these guys are like right on, these orange villagers are on the other opponent's side on the hill, taking their deer essentially up above. And so in come a bunch of, looks like either Keshiks or Knights or something coming from the Mongols players coming down. He's also going to have, he's got a, he picks up a relic and then starts to wololo the Vils. The Vils see this. They actually don't see this. They see the guys charging from the north and run into the Wololo and all get converted. And it says herding 101 right gold. And this is a gold 3 platinum ranked game.
This will have my monitor in the middle of the street. Like my window. Oh, that's genius. That is some beautiful micro.
I love it.
I've
never
seen that before.
Am I the only one that like panics and if instantly finds the Wololo? Like, I would have ran into the Knights.
I would have ran into the Knights. That's what I thought was going to happen when I saw this. I thought he was going to run them to the Knights, which would have worked either. I mean, that was just as good, right?
Yeah,
just
he would have killed all of them.
I think an alternate way, and he said in the comments too, he said that his plan was to hit with the Knights first and then run them into the Wololo, but it worked out really well.
Yeah.
He said he did it on accident pretty much.
Yeah, it was kind of accidental, but...
Dude, I mean, that's on point. Hey, I wouldn't even told nobody that. I'm like, yeah, no big deal. This is what I do.
Yeah, he said he pressed the Wololo a little sooner than he wanted, and it played out by this way by accident. But again, I love this idea though of like a pinch kind of maneuver, right? And this can work with multiple units. You could have like spears and then have them run away into knights. I mean, any kind of pinch maneuver. I realized myself looking at this, I don't do this enough. Like, and it doesn't have to be a Wolo per se, but even just pinching with units in general, I don't do this very well enough. And actually, I was going to commend you, actually, Sir Nevels. I was watching that same stream. You dealt with some French knights in a beautiful way. You were just walking your archers back and forth amongst your spears, and they were just eating up the knights. It was some of the best micro I've ever seen. I love that.
From you, dude. Hey, listen. Oh, this is about to be a real friendship moment right here. I remember you said like you just move your spearmen and you move your archers around.
Oh,
that was from you. That was from you. Dude.
I was thinking to myself, man, that was some clean micro right there. That was brilliantly played.
That was from you, dude. You said when you said that, I was taking notes. I was like, that's actually really good. Having a little bro moment here. Yeah, that was from you because I just really what I did, I just lured the knights into the spearmen with my archers. The obviously knights wanted to take out my archers. So I'm like, that's not going to happen.
You ate up like 8 or 9 knights. I was like, oh my gosh. He eventually had another wave that came in and basically cleaned up a little bit more. Yeah, but that first wave was like, whoa, that was a big hit. Like you ate them up.
That was good. That was a good way of good micro, like really just micro your archers and let your other ones just clean up. And that was on point. That's why I helped. That's what helped me in that situation. So yeah, thank you, Socerton.
Oh, well, you're very welcome, Sir Nevels. Yeah, I love this clip. This clip makes me really happy. Shout out to user Premun or Premun, Premun. Great post. This is awesome. I love this kind of content. Good Wololos. I remember my best. I think it's a clip on my channel on Twitch. I have a Wololo where I converted the entire enemy's military on Hillendale, not Hillendale, King of the Hill. And it just Wololo, it was one of those Wololos into GGs. It was so good.
Yeah. A lot of Wololos just make a GG no matter what. There's nothing you can do at that point.
I love the way of obviously this guy's villagers shouldn't be so far away from their base. So that opens us up. And this is gold 3 platinum ranked. So there is, this happens every now and then, but boy, what a way to play it. What a way to play that though. I'm in love with that.
On Golden Heights too. Shout out Bidderlyn.
Yeah, shout out to Bidderlyn on Golden Heights.
What a beautiful map.
All right, got another post here. This one's by Snoobeans5591 from 4 days ago. This is just some fun fluff for you guys, but shortening villager walk time. Notice that when I unload the dishes in my kitchen, I've started unloading all the dishes that belong in the same cabinet together before moving on to the next cabinet of dishes, instead of doing, for example, all the plates, then cups. It's now based on minimizing walk time. I've optimized my gather and drop rate.
This dude is winning at life.
This dude is
I might actually take that advice on unloading. I hate unloading dishes, and that right there is a smart way of doing it. Instead of going plate by plate,
or going by type of thing, just going by where it's going.
Going by where it goes.
The best comment is the reason I include this was the top comment, which was just wait until you get wheelbarrow. I thought that was really funny.
That wheelbarrow in real life is coffee.
Oh, any kind of caffeine. I'd agree with that.
Or Adderall. No, wheelbarrow.
Or Adderall. Oh gosh, here come the PEDs again.
Performance enhancing drugs. Get some Adderall. That's wheelbarrow for reality, baby.
Here's another great comment. An optimized chores build order is important to get a chance of enjoying life before the early harassment comes, aka kids arriving from school.
That's pretty funny.
That's good stuff.
That's why I have my wife stand guard in a foyer with a 3-meter spear. That's great.
Yeah, this is a good post. This is a good post in general.
Good fluff post. This is what we need more of. A lot of the posts lately on the Reddit have been kind of like, how do I stop this push? How do I do this without ever posting what it looked like? Just saying, why did this happen? And then nothing about what the circumstances. Guys, we got to keep posting quality content here. Quality content.
This is quality.
This is quality. This kind of fluff is what I live for.
This is quality content, 100%. Shortening villager walk time.
I have found it better to never be idle. You can shorten your walk time all you want, but if you just stand there idle, you'll never get any dishes put away. That's from Salty.
This guy's tips on life. You giving tips on life right there.
That's fun. That's a fun post to see on the Reddit. It was a very at first I was like, what is this gonna be about? And then I read it and I was like, oh man, I gotta include this on our timeline today.
Yeah, it's funny.
Here's another one from so I gotta shout out Mark Hamill again, or Mock Hamill, sorry.
That's pretty funny.
Mock Hamill's I've featured a couple of his posts. He has some good things. He put up a poll, and this one says, when you lose a game, what is your reaction? Option number 1, my opponent is played better, so I deserve to lose. Number 2, it was bad matchmaking. Or number 3, I lost due to unfairness, bad map, or bad matchup balance.
3 all day.
3 all day?
Unfairness.
Unfairness,
Yep,
huh?
bad maps and bad matchup balance. No way I did anything wrong that game. There's no way. That is why I lost. Unfair game, broken. That's why I lost. No way for me. I think number 1 for sure.
And the community mostly agrees.
Yeah, I feel like it's really hard to even deny that. Unless you're kind of just being.
I feel like these are clearly 2 bad answers and 1 good answer.
Yeah, really.
Like one of those like tests you take to learn how to be a worker at like Subway. Like a customer comes in angry. Should you 1, start cussing at the customer? 2, throw all their sandwiches on the floor? Or 3, offer to help them with their problem? Like, come on, guys.
Exactly, you're right. Yeah, spit in his face or get a manager.
Get a manager.
I
agree. Yeah,
that they're missing a very obvious 4th answer.
What?
It's Bidderlyn's fault for making bad maps.
Oh, there we go.
There you go. Or game crashes. There you go.
I want to know. So obviously, I don't know if you guys are looking at it. There's been 742 votes so far. I voted for the first one, obviously, because I was like, this is dumb. 552 is the current number for my opponent played better, so I deserve to lose. 79 people said it was bad matchmaking, and 111 people said I lost due to unfairness. Who are these people, man? Are they just trolling us? Or are they being serious? That's what I want to know.
My question is, 79 people out of 742 is not bad for bad matchmaking, because there can be bad matchmaking.
That's true.
You know,
that's true.
Especially team games.
Especially, yeah. I went up against after you left Sir Nevels, I hopped in with the guys you were playing with, and we got matched up by a Conqueror guy, and I'm not at that level. We got destroyed.
Yeah,
I played okay, but we got destroyed.
Yeah, you get like a whole Conqueror team. We have a guy in our Discord named Jigglypuff. He has like a whole Brills, like, a clan. And we matched him against them like 3 times. They're like all Con 3. And I'm like, what?
The Devil's Clan?
The Devil's Clan.
They're in Rising Empires.
Exactly, dude.
Like Division 1.
Dude, I think it's on stream. We match up against them like 3 times in a row. We got to cook every time. I'm like, what is going on
the
here?
Team game matchmaking, this has gotten there's been a lot of complaints on Reddit lately about how the matchmaking is so terrible. And then people are going to start, I'm just waiting for another week for everyone to start saying that the game is dead because of that matchmaking issue.
Oh, man.
But,
of course.
Yeah, I was gonna say, give it a week. It'll be.
Give it a week. Yeah, it all comes in form.
Guys, everyone's all the casual people are playing Baldur's Gate. Duh.
There you go.
It's the right choice. So.
Yeah, Baldur's Gate is good.
Dude, I want to play that game so bad. It'll be a while before I probably get the money to save it. We're saving up to go to Disneyland right now, so we've been busy.
Oh yeah, well, dude, get a lightsaber. You need that.
I already got one actually.
What?
Oh yeah, I got a blue one. Totally.
Oh,
usually it sits behind me. When I was sitting in my other room streaming, I had my shelf and it sat on my shelf behind me. I need to get a better. But yeah, totally worth it. Get the lightsaber. It's worth $200. Worth it. Like, wouldn't do it again per se because I've already got one, but like totally worth doing once. That was way fun.
You got the blue one though, dude.
Oh, dude, I am such a blue lightsaber guy. Oh yeah.
What's up with that, dude? I'm a Sith Lord all day.
Oh, you red? That one. The most popular colors, honestly, were red and purple.
Super evil. Oh, Mace Windu's too. Okay, so I could go on a tangent on Star Wars too. Let me relax. But
I could too.
That's a good trip.
It's fun. It's fun. It's definitely like kind of geared towards kids, but it's also still fun. Like even as an adult to just pretend you're a kid for a little bit. It was fun.
Oh yeah, dude. I think the Star Wars part that made me want to go. 100%. I never want to go to Disneyland.
Dude, Star Wars RTS won.
Oh wow!
There is one. There was one.
I was the leader of the biggest clan in the Star Wars RTS. So.
Really?
Wait, what was the?
Yeah. Was that the AoE 2 conversion, or was that?
No, this was Empire at War.
Yeah,
this one was.
Huh?
And
there was a Star Wars RTS.
I was the boy on that one.
Wow, I'm learning things about Calerb.
What, Star Wars RTS? I'm like, ooh, the Star Wars RTS is a real thing?
If they came up with a new Star Wars RTS game, I would be pretty hooked, I'm sure. But that one, when did that one come out? It's a little old now, isn't it?
It's old.
What,
yeah.
Galactic Battlegrounds? Is that it?
No, that's the one that was based off of AoE 2. There was one that like just reskinned AoE 2 to be Star Wars.
Oh, that is amazing. Oh, I see this now.
There's a Star Wars Empire War.
Empire Wars is still worth playing it.
Dude, I played as the Zon Consortium. Oh my gosh, I love that game.
Man, imagine a AAA developer making a Star Wars RTS.
Don't make me drool. I'd love that.
It was good.
I would be
it had like Galactic Conquest, and you had like planet space battles, and you'd zoom in and do like a land battle. It was so good.
Oh, that's amazing. They got different factions. Got like the Republic, the Empire, like different times. Oh, that would be.
Yeah.
Oh man. Okay, let me relax.
Anywho.
Back to our Reddit question, dude. We almost could just do a video game podcast. Maybe we'll start doing some extra stuff for like our Patreon or something. That's too fun. This is the next one I have is from user. I'm going to say it's wrong.
Leopleurodon.
Leopleurodon. Oh my gosh, I know what that's from. That's from Charlie the Unicorn. I think.
Okay.
Or something similar to it. No. It's like one of those kind of YouTube videos. It might not be Charlie in particular. I think it might be one of the. It's I recognize this. It's from a different one with like a floating head.
It's a dinosaur, but
yeah, it's a Leopleurodon, Charlie, a magical Leopleurodon. Yeah.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm reading this post though. This is
the post itself. FYI, Wheelbarrow pays off in less than 3 minutes after completion with 20 plus villagers and a calculator that predicts gathering rate with 2% margin. So the too long didn't read is you should get Wheelbarrow ASAP after beginning to age up to feudal age in most games, even if you're going feudal culture wing as Abbasids. This might be more Abbasid.
Which is disgusting.
Yeah.
Why would you ever do that?
They've been experimenting with Abbasid feudal culture wing and build lately. At first, I always research Wheelbarrow after Preservation of Knowledge is completed. However, a question comes to my mind after a few games. Is Wheelbarrow worth getting before Preservation of Knowledge, even if you go for Culture Wing and Feudal? And I did a lot of math, and basically the answer is yes. Wheelbarrow is probably the best economic upgrade in the game.
Oh, yeah.
I don't think anyone would disagree with me when I say that.
An argument that.
Well, it's insane because it reduces the single biggest gap in resource gathering, which is travel time.
And it's universal. It's good for every single.
It's good for defense too because your villagers can rush the TC better.
Outrun.
There is a counterpoint. Someone here says that faster second TC is almost always better. If you go Wheelbarrow before second TC, you decrease the number of potential villagers that you could have had. Even if Wheelbarrow gives you more money temporarily within second TC, which is debatable. I don't know. I think there is definitely some, and the person, Leopleurodon, does respond and says that they did the math before, and getting Wheelbarrow before second TC would delay it by roughly 20 seconds, which is one villager. So they say that in the long run, it's pretty good, but yeah, basically there's a lot of, and this is what I think is really fascinating. This is why I miss when Grubby was streaming this game a lot. Because he would go into this kind of math bit. He would break it down very quickly and simply. I know we had Age of Noob who did a lot of stuff like this as well, but I really liked having Grubby as a streamer who just would do this like right off the fly. I always thought was really enjoyable. He's one of the guys who actually got me into this game. Kind of sad he's moved on. I think the money was better for streaming in other games.
Yeah, he's a big Dota guy.
Yeah, he's a big Dota guy right now. I need to, like, not that I want to unfollow him, but like I'm not into that game. And so I'm just kind of like sad. Like I really loved when he streamed this game, but he doesn't anymore.
He's on Baldur's Gate right now.
Yeah, I've been seeing him play that a lot too. I should hop in one of those. That'd be fun. Yeah, Wheelbarrow is such a good tech. I think it's not so much as to whether or not you should get Wheelbarrow. The biggest question I always feel like that comes up with this is when do you go Wheelbarrow, right?
Yeah.
And I
think it's just kind of civilization specific when you go Wheelbarrow. Like I think I remember there's some people that are going Dark Age Wheelbarrow with the English, and just to get it off. I think a good base of entry. I don't have the math. This guy went crazy. I'm looking at this data stat sheet, and I'm almost like, what? All these decimals? Okay, but I feel that at some point in time, as you're going up into feudal, or the moment you age up, Wheelbarrow is a good by default is a good upgrade to go with. I don't see where it can be negative at any point in time. I mean, maybe how much is Wheelbarrow? I mean,
I feel like I should know that.
50 gold, 50 wood.
Yeah.
Wow, it's that cheap? It's 50 gold, 50 wood.
No, 150 gold.
150 gold.
Oh, 150 gold.
It's almost an age up.
Okay, 150 gold and 50 wood. Okay, yeah, I feel like. I mean, like I said, I mean,
It's
I guess
just enough, right? Just enough to make you kind of go, and it takes a little while to research, and then you got to wait for it to kind of pay itself back again. Like long term, you need to get it. But
do Ottomans go wheelbarrow very often, Beale?
Do Ottomans?
Yeah, like very often.
Eventually. I don't hit it like immediately as I age up. I do delay wheelbarrow because I typically the 3 vills that are getting gold in Dark Age to allow me to age up, I'll peel 2 of them off and move them over to stone as I'm going up to feudal to prepare for military schools.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So I do get wheelbarrow, but it's later. Usually gonna be the first thing I spend gold on in feudal, unless for some reason I need the either Sipahi damage or range defense.
Yeah,
like for HRE, like I don't usually click this one until I'm in Castle Age, because I'm going for I'm saving every gold coin for fast castle.
Yeah.
For French, I'll usually click this as I age up because they get the cheaper windmills. So they can put that up for 25 wood, and then I can get the age up click. Because you got to imagine, you also have to get a windmill at some point somewhere, or a mill. You have to have a mill to get it. So you got to include that kind of in the initial cost. There's another 50 wood or 25 if you're French.
That's actually pretty smart to look at it too. Getting wheel, that's actually smart. Include that in the cost of wheelbarrow.
I mean, if you're going for a mill anyways, like if it's your standard build order, then I wouldn't be as concerned about it.
Like the HRE don't, so it's like really hard for them because they're like not on wood, and the extra 50 wood's a house instead, and it like really mucks you up.
Yeah.
So we got.
So I think it's French, really dependent, but I agree that it is a very good upgrade.
Yeah, it's the best economic upgrade you're ever gonna get, especially for the price and for the long dividends it'll get you, and because it makes you run faster. In fact, I just thought of a really good game. We'll do this. I'll set this up.
Makes you run faster.
I thought of a really good game. I'm gonna do. I think our next. I'll set this up for next episode or maybe the one after. But I'm gonna do a foot race game. We'll just race different units and see what's faster across the map. Who wins? Like a villager with wheelbarrow or a regular man at arm. Who wins?
Can we call it a wheelbarrow race?
The wheelbarrow race. There we go.
Wow! There you go. Wow, that's a good one.
The wheelbarrow race. I might do like what's faster, like marching drills, men at arm, or a like something else. Like we'll see, maybe just see what happens.
I mean, we could just do the math, right?
We could, but like if we didn't know off the bat, like it'd be like, can you guess just intuitively what's faster? Like that's
that's fair.
That'd be kind of fun.
Yeah, I like that. It's intuitive. I like that. Yeah.
Because I mean, in the game, like obviously all of us could look up what it is, but in game, are you going to be able to just spout off? I know this is faster. I know it's not. You know.
We could do like a proctored test where all of us share our screens to make sure we're not on the game, and then
proctored test. Please put down your pencils and flip over your Scantrons.
All right, everybody. Cameras on. Yeah.
I'm not glad. I'm looking at wheelbarrow now as 125 wood and 150 gold. That's a good way to look at it because you have the you gotta include the building the mill plus the research of wheelbarrow. I mean, again, but for Apposite though, like you're popping down that mill regardless because you're getting the dividends back from the berries. A lot of people, a big debate in the Apposite community is what is more viable, like sheep or berries off it.
Ooh.
Or
where do you stand on the great sheep berries divide, Sir Nevels?
I'm always on berries, baby.
Yeah.
Like, I'm berries.
There's no way. I love sheep, but that's you got to go for the berries.
Well, like I think it was like Fitzbro. Somebody they were like literally like really like they don't. A lot of players do not. They save their ones like for insurance food. They go on like berries later. They get all the sheep up, like just around the map.
Aren't sheep are like super safe to gather from? So if you got pushed in, you could have the sheep.
Yeah, you'd fall back to the sheep. That's my thought. I'd go for the berries first. I mean, I guess if they're, I feel like that you just.
I don't know when you'd ever want to do that because you want the protection of the sheep against your town.
Unless, I feel like you're denying yourself something either way. You're like that's like hurting yourself because you're worried you might get hurt more later.
I don't know. I don't think it's still a debate anymore. But like at one point in time, it was like players were like they were getting like a faster second TC, or they were doing because they save wood on their TC for making the mill, so they get a faster second TC.
I see that.
So they weren't making mills. Yeah, I think in general,
conjure them out of the dirt. Then I think,
I mean that bonus to the berries, getting the extra food out of that berries is huge. Anything that gives you bonus resources out of something like that is always a win. I mean, you're making more berries out of the berries. I mean, that's brilliant.
Making more
berries on berries.
Berries on berries.
Berries cold fusion.
Our next, I think this is our last one I have on here.
Yeah.
Not a ton. Like I said, not a ton on the Reddit. And I was kind of going through it. This one's from 13 days ago. So this is the day after last episode.
Yeah.
You were diving in here.
I was diving in. There's just not a lot. Most of the posts weren't that interesting, and there just wasn't a ton of them. I don't know if we're just kind of in one of those lulls of the season. And I think with Baldur's Gate and some other, and it being late summer, I think people are just not as invested with AoE at the moment.
It's okay. Listen, wait. When's Gamescom? It's coming.
I don't know. I don't want to get anyone's hopes up that we're going to get more civs.
I am. No, we're good. Don't worry. Guys.
I don't know. I don't want to.
And if we don't, you never see my face ever again.
Sure.
And here's the other problem is. Stormgate's dropping stuff at Gamescom too, so that's going to feel pretty.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
There's going to be some pretty heavy competition there.
But guess what? But they're not dropping a full release. So I'm not worried about them right now. I'm worried about these civilizations. Let's go. Japan.
I genuinely hope so, but I'm not going to overhype myself for it.
If there's nothing there, I'm going to feel personally hurt.
Sir Nevels, you remember when your parents told you that one certain magical being who brought presents every year may not actually be fully as real as you may have thought?
Relive that trauma. I can't relive that trauma on this podcast. I can't even do it. I'm going to break down on this podcast. I can't relive it again.
That's okay. The spirit of Christmas is in all of us, right? We are all a part of the spirit of Christmas, right? So it's real in that sense, right? Like he is real and we make him real.
Exactly.
Speaking of spirit of Christmas, there's a Scrooge Metroidvania coming out.
Ooh.
Oh, that's right. I remember seeing it.
Yeah, it looked too good. Then there's no reason it needed to go that hard. That was
why. But I mean, good. Like they made it a Pinocchio Dark Souls game. So
yeah, that's true.
Sure.
You just like fighting elves as Scrooge, like you hate Christmas.
You're the Scrooge, and you have like the Ghost of Christmas helping you, giving you like bonus attacks and special abilities.
Oh man, what
are you fighting? No, no, we're off topic.
I think like nutcrackers and stuff.
You're fighting everything Christmas themed.
Yeah, because you're Scrooge.
Fighting candy canes with arms. You're like, got it.
Buttons.
Exactly.
Okay, I'm back.
Anywho, sorry, Christmas.
Yeah, I'm back on topic. Sorry, ready to post.
All right, this one's from Credit. QREDETT. And they say the longest AoE game you've ever played in ? They posted a picture to go with this. This is a post-game little they lost due to sacred sites on a mega random custom map. This game went on for 3 hours, 48 minutes, and 59 seconds.
This is why you don't play these type of team games. This is why you just don't do it.
That's a
2,000 years later.
This is why. It's like a 2v2v2v2.
Yep, 2v2v2v2 Nomad, and the host turned wonders off. They killed the first team pretty fast, and then there was like a 3-hour 2v2v2
off. They intended it to go 4 hours.
They were asking for it. But it brings up an interesting question. It's like, what's the longest game you've played? I mean, I remember I played one with was it with you, Sir Nevels? That went like super late. You, me, and like Ashton Osprey.
Possibly.
I remember we had one where I was playing French. It was on like all tie, but like 3v3 or 4v4. And they built a wonder, and we were looking for the last landmark, and we missed it in the bottom corner. And we were like right there.
That might not have been me. But I
know it was Ashton. Might have been someone else. I forget. But I remember like it was just a slog. And I remember that one going for over an hour. I know Beale and I had an hour long. I don't think that was the longest game I've played, but we had a pretty long that we mentioned that actually today too. That Hill and Dale English Mirror in Rising Empires way back over 6 months ago now.
Mm-hmm.
That was I still remember that being one of the most draining games I've ever played. I think especially because it was in a tournament setting that was like really tournament setting, and like it was against you of all people, and I was like, oh my gosh, it's Beale. Like I casted all his stuff a week ago. That was something.
Yeah, that was fun. I don't think I've ever had a game that's gone over 2 hours in AoE 4.
I think an hour and 40 is where I've capped out.
Yeah, right around the hour and a half mark. I think it's bad.
Do you guys notice when you first start playing this game, your games lasted longer when you first started playing?
Yeah, I never knew how to win.
Yeah, exactly. When I first started playing, I like
the games.
I didn't know how to win. So we had games. I had like my long games, like hour and 50, like over 2 hour games are always like my earlier phase. Because like if I get past, if I'm like near the 2 hour mark, I might just go all in and see what happens.
It's interesting. I think it's less that, for me at least, it's less that I know how to win now, and it's more that I know when I've lost. And so I just quit.
Exactly.
It's like it's not worth.
And I'm not like rage quitting.
Down.
I'm just like I just don't have. I physically know I can't get out of this hole.
The path to victory is gone. There is no way back in. I agree. If there's a way I could conceivably get back in, I will stay in. I'll see things through unless I'm really tilted. And I've come back from people who have like not finished out games too.
That's the funny thing about newer players. Like they'll be down to like 20 vills and like no military. And they'll be like, no, I'm good.
I'm still on.
I didn't hear no bell. I didn't hear no bell. Let's go. Yeah, exactly. They do not care. They will die.
Honestly, I think my games have gone a little bit longer now than they used to, and that's mostly because I've changed the way I play. I play HRE now, which is playing for a Castle Age kind of game. Whereas I used to play English Ram Rush. I discovered the English Ram Rush, and I had so much success with it early back in the old, actually around the time I was playing against Beale in that game, around that time frame, over 6 months ago, English Ram Rush was just working for me really well, and I could do a couple other games in Civs as well. But like that was like my preferred way to English. Like was just all in archer, longbows, add in some spears, man at arms, build some rams, eventually crush them. That was my tournament standard. That's how I was winning my games in the low ELO, and so my games would go like 20 minutes, and that's still where most of my games sit around, is 20-30 minutes. But I feel like I go a little longer now going into a Castle Age often.
I feel like most games are average from like 20 to 25 minutes.
Yeah,
which is pretty crazy. That's like a really long, like by like normal multiplayer game standards. That's pretty long. Like that's why you need a Smurf account. So if you gotta leave in the middle of a game, you just, hey, sorry, bro, GG.
I've done that like once where it's like, I gotta go. Hey, you were playing good. I might have won this one either way, but here's your win.
People get mad when you do that. They're like, you're a question mark. Like, dude, what? Like you. Like,
I've had someone do it to me before. I had someone do that to me, be like, hey, I gotta go. Sorry. And I was like, yeah, no worries. I get the win. Like, let's go.
I was like, thanks, dude. Awesome. I was like, thanks for the points.
all I care about is the grade. Remember, like we don't care about like learning anything. I just want the A grade.
Exactly. I don't care about anything going on here. That's crazy though. Yeah, people get offended.
Yeah, I mean, it's different team games. I don't see why anybody would be pissed.
Team games. Yeah, you're right.
Sorry, guys, I gotta go. It's like, no, what are you doing?
Oh yeah, team games is most definitely infuriating, especially when they leave unannounced.
Oh yeah,
it's like this bell on you. You're like, wait a minute. And everything.
I thought we were friends.
This happened a Reddit post. They said they had to leave during. I forgot which one it was.
It was like a couple weeks ago. Someone was like, "How bad is my sin? Like, how bad are my sins? I had to leave, and I thought it'd be only for a minute, and it ended up being for like 5 minutes." And you're just like,
"Oh my god!
I can't believe you think it'd be okay to leave for a minute. A minute is like an eternity in this game.
30 seconds is ridiculous in this game."
Actually, I want to ask you guys a question. Actually, just off the top of my head, I've been thinking about this. About like paying attention. Like obviously, a minute's a long time. So sometimes I notice this still happens all the time. I will leave villagers idle when I'm microwing a battle. When do you draw the line on this, right? Because some people in chat, especially like on Twitch, they love to be like, you're idling villagers, like Socerton, build more vills, but like you're focusing down on a really important fight. And it's like, where do you draw the line of like balancing your macro versus making sure you micro your fight to success?
Yeah, I love to clear out my idle villagers and just lose every single fight. It's like look away for 5 seconds and then I don't have any more units.
You guys ever have that moment where you guys like have like one of your like maybe like your cavalry hotkey to 1 and you're microing your economy at home and you click 1 and nothing's happening, so they're all dead. You're like, wait a minute. You're like, is this hotkey broken? Look back and all your cavalry's dead or whatever. You got a hotkey to a certain point is dead. That's nothing worse.
Because I feel like and this is part, like I'm really glad my Twitch chat likes to tell me to go back and check my vills every now and then. Like that's nice. It may not be my own voice repeating back in my ears.
That's because schizophrenia.
But it's nice to have like people going, hey, Socerton, you're not building vills anymore. I appreciate that. I'm glad to have people like be in my chat being like, what are you doing, Socerton? But obviously I've gotten in a habit of watching my economy, and I feel like for the most part I do a good job. Like I don't every now and then I'll leave things hanging, but it's funny to me, this phenomena of like, you got to be watching your economy every minute. But I've noticed that some pro players will say, yeah, it's okay to have your economy idle a little bit. Like it's better to win the fight than to throw away. Like you said, like Beale said, like you do that and then you go back and it's like, oh, where'd my army go? Like, what the heck? That was 5 seconds. Like, I feel like the damage to your military in 5 seconds versus your economy is vastly different, right?
Well, it's just
I would agree.
I think it's just a quick analysis, cost efficiency kind of thing where you're just like, am I going to lose more by having idle villagers and winning the fight, or am I going to lose more by, how many units are here, how many villagers are idle, and generally it's better to win the fight than it is to have.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, because think about it, once that army kills that military that you lose, they're only going one way towards that economy. Towards the economy you spent so long trying to protect.
And so then you can click them and go back to your thing because it doesn't take long to correct that. And
exactly.
10 seconds idle isn't going to kill you, but losing your army might. So
I think the trick is being able to, when you aren't in the midst of a big fight, even if because sometimes I'll have a little skirmish and I know I'm winning it, I'll zip back to my base real quick, move those villagers, Q on the villas in the town center, and then back to the military. And I think there is kind of an art to that. But for any new players out there who are really stressing over that, like your economy comes first in every moment, except for when you're mid important fight, I think.
As long as AP, if your APM locked, focus on the pivotal moments.
Yeah,
exactly.
I'd rather your villagers go idle than your entire military gets slain.
Yeah.
That's all of our Reddit posts to go over. Again, not tons this week, but it was fun. I guess we'll take a quick break and then come back and finish up this episode with our extra sheeps.
Beautiful.
Hi ho, it's Socerton again. This is that fun part of the show where it's just you, the listener, and me, the talker. Hope you guys are doing good. Thanks for supporting and listening. This was a fun episode for us to record. We were really excited about Bidderlyn. I know that the audio quality wasn't super duper good. Obviously, he's not like a caster or he's not really a streamer, so his audio maybe wasn't like as good as Sir Nevels or mine is. But hopefully that wasn't a problem. You guys hopefully enjoyed the things he said. He had a lot of good stuff in there today. I'm recording this at like 9 o'clock on the 14th of August. It was so hot the last 2 days. If you hear any kind of buzzing in the background, that's my AC unit trying to keep me at a reasonable temperature. It's trying and failing. It is so hot, guys. Oh my gosh. We don't usually have, we have like one little tiny AC unit just in the corner of our house that just barely can cover the upstairs. Most of the house is above 80 degrees Fahrenheit. So like around, oh gosh, that's not quite 30 degrees Celsius, I don't think. Actually, it might be. Well, let me take a look real quick now. Do some calculation. I know it's above 25, 80 degrees. I have to see. Okay, so I guess 26 degrees Celsius. Not quite. 30 would be insane. 30 would be like 90. Oh, 30 would be 86. No, it might be actually 86, 30 degrees Fahrenheit in here, or 30 degrees Celsius in here. Because 86 is about what it was sitting at inside. So yeah, warm day for us. Warm day. We just really enjoying it. Anyways, this is the part where I'm supposed to talk about the important things, such as our Patreon. We've actually had quite a couple of people sign up recently. I've still got coasters. I've still got stickers. So for as long as people keep signing up, I'll keep mailing them out. So yeah, just make sure that I'll reach out. If you join the Patreon, you have to use your email. I'll either send an email or reach out through Patreon, be like, hey, send me your address and I'll mail you the stuff. Yeah, keep doing that. It's pretty sweet. Anyways, wanted to shout out to the Rising Empires again. If you guys are looking for a good way to get involved in some like tourneys or other competitive play, that's a great way to do that. So check them out. They have a Discord. Links as always, are in the description of the episode. I am working. Okay, so it was brought up right after we finished recording our main episode. Beale mentioned to be like, hey, Socerton, are you ever going to get these on YouTube like you said you were? I need to. We want to keep growing this podcast to keep reaching more people. What I'm going to do is, it's such a backlog of episodes now that we've gone for 13 of these things. I've got the first 3 up there, I think. I'm going to put this one up there. I'm going to put this episode today on the YouTube and then be like, hey guys, we got this one up. And I'm going to try and keep up as of now. Working the backlog is getting really difficult. I'll try and get to those eventually. But as of today, I'm going to get this episode on. I'm editing these right now. I'm not going to play any Age of Empires until I get this done. So Scout's Honor, that'll be done today. So yay. If you're listening to the first time because of that, and you're listening via YouTube, welcome to the show. We're glad to have you. I kind of mentioned to Beale that I wasn't too sure how many more people would listen on YouTube as opposed to like our podcasting apps. Like, is it worth the effort? Because it's a lot more effort to get onto YouTube than it is on our other podcasting apps. And he made it sound like it would be. So I'm hoping he's right. If not, then I'll blame him and Sir Nevels for egging me on to do this. Regardless, hopefully, if you are from YouTube, let us know if you like the show. Let us know that you listened. We'd love to hear that kind of feedback. And for those of you who listen in the more conventional podcasting ways, let us know if you're enjoying the show. Let us know what's been working, what you guys would like to see more of. I know some people have mentioned, I think Amarath mentioned like, oh, you should do soccer and you should like cast an episode of like a game between Sir Nevels and Beale and do like an audio cast like they do for like baseball or other sports like on the radio. And I don't know how that would work. Calerb Calamari mentioned that it'd be kind of cool too. I don't know. Sounds kind of interesting. Regardless, I want to shout out Beale and Sir Nevels and Caleb again. It's been half a year, and we didn't really do much to commemorate that except for saying that. I think we mentioned at the beginning of this episode. We mentioned it later on in this episode at the very end, I think, too. But yeah, half a year, and we are averaging, like I said, about 400 downloads per episode. That's pretty huge. That's pretty huge. The podcast is funded enough to keep going for another year. It's just been super sweet to see. I'm just really stoked at where it's at right now. Big shout out to our friends over at www.morenights.com. They are always so fun and so nice, and we loved shouting them out and their funny little community they're doing. Also, the Gria Bara. The link to that is under the description of this episode as well. Check it out. That's a really good community to find people who want to play the game just like you and to have a community, discuss stuff, jump into team games. That is the place. They also do like a weekly joust. They do like free-for-alls, nomads. They do it all. That's a great place. I know I saw another Discord was popping up as well. A new up-and-coming one. I don't know how Sir Nevels is going to feel about it being the guy who started the Gria Bara, but there are communities out there. I don't really know much about the new one. Maybe we'll look into it. See if we can't promote our podcast out there too. But yeah, I think that's all my housekeeping things. We've gotten some guests on the show, so that's one thing that we promised we would do, and I feel like getting Bidderlyn on here was kind of a win. Hopefully we can continue to get more guests. Beale's got kind of like a list. He's been so good at just finding people and getting them on the show. Hopefully we can keep that trend going. Between him, Sir Nevels, and Caleb, they've really taken the lead on that, and I'm so appreciative to them. I cannot shout those guys out enough. They've really taken ownership alongside me with this podcast, and it's been super fun to me to see. I don't think they always listen to the episodes. They mentioned that they don't always. They kind of skim them a little bit. So if you guys are listening back to this, just know I really do appreciate you guys. I couldn't do this without you. I knew going in I needed some people to co-host with me. I couldn't just do it on my own. And I'm really grateful that I've got a little community that's with me on this. So it's fun. Anyways, I think I've rambled on alone enough. You guys get more than enough of a fill of my voice. So I'll send it back to the rest of the guys for the extra sheeps. And we're back. We had a really, really long break. Jokes. we all went out, took a nice walk, enjoyed the day. Showered. I made some food. No.
Got a couple games in.
For those who don't know, we do take a break on break one. This is some behind the scenes you guys are getting. Break one, we do go get water, we do stretch, we do that. But break two is literally just giving me a gap so I can have my one-on-one time with our listeners. It's like that's literally just to do some housekeeping, just to give us kind of a good pause for editing as well.
Let me make a correction. Everybody else takes a break, and I hang out and I leave a song or a message.
Dude, I love putting that at the end of that episode. That was so fun. That was so funny. Good times. So yeah, this is the end of the show where we do our extra sheeps. We talk about one last little tidbit for you, the listener out there, wherever you are. Caleb, I am so glad to have you back this episode. Do you want to lead us off?
Yeah, I'm like super excited. I actually have an extra sheep.
That's beautiful.
You tell me the other ones were fake. What?
I came up with them on the spot as everybody else talked. My sheep this week, I talked to Tim earlier because Tim's playing Baldur's Gate, and I was living vicariously through Tim because my wife was gone. But we were talking about something, and then I had an epiphany on why I have such a problem building villagers. And I realized that in all the other RTS games that I played, workers made a very, very distinct out front noise when they were built. StarCraft, the thing would yell at you, SCV ready, and Warcraft, the orc would make a noise, and my brain didn't find that in Age of Empires. So then I went into a custom game and I did it, and there is a noise, and it is global, but it's subtle, very subtle. Like my brain literally didn't associate that noise with villagers building.
It's like a or something like that, right?
Yeah, it's like a whispered hush. It's like really, really kind of this soft, and like if you're listening for it, you can hear it, but it's not something that jumps out at you like all the other RTSs I played. And it was something just interesting to me that I this kind of subconscious feedback from the game wasn't here, and it was still one of my biggest issues. But we'll hopefully fix going forward because I'll be listening for that noise. And now I can now make that association going forward. But,
yeah, I didn't know that. I didn't know there was like a sound.
Yeah, same with production buildings for like other like knights, archers, everything. They all make little noises. It's not loud.
Yeah, I know that.
And I think if it was really, really loud, with the amount of villagers we use in this game, it would get obnoxious if it was really good. But if you don't associate it, then I could see that being
it was more the lack of association than anything, because it is there, and I don't know, maybe have an option to turn it up or something, but it was just something I never associated with, so I was never listening for it, so I didn't have that 30-second timer going off like I did in all the other ones.
The funny thing is that there was one post on Reddit that I actually didn't include in today's episode that I was debating on, and it was talking about how the sound design, and they were lauding the fact that every single aspect of this game has on point sound design, and they just love how every villager creation, and they actually mentioned that, like the noise for villager creation, for knights being made, like every single thing had a very distinct, well-made, well-designed noise. And that was one of the things they were liking. And it does. This game does. But they are subtle. If you don't have that association, I could see that being a little detrimental.
Yeah.
Audio in this game, we talked about plenty of times.
It's so good. So good. I think we'll just work up the list. Sir Nevels, it is your turn.
Oh, yeah. Mine's nothing too. I mean, I don't even call it a hot take I'm saying right now. I mean, but really, like, I just, from my experience, and I know I'm kind of biased, but I really do believe that maybe not in feudal age, but castle age, Abbasid archers are the best in the game. So I was doing it was maybe a month ago. I did a little low Elo Legends cast with Jones 88, shout out, and we seen a player who that was their whole build. They went to castle age, made a bunch of archery ranges, and then just researched fully another side note, fully upgraded. So they won the whole game with 80, they made 60, 70 archers, and it was killing everything, knights, whatever. But when I say castle age, because you have to get composite bows, which got moved into castle age this season, and you also had to get boot camp. Something I did not know about boot camp is that it increased the health of all infantry by 15%. So not even I thought it was just men at arms and spearmen, but also technically archers are technically infantry. So it also applies to archers.
And that walks on two legs. Cool.
Exactly. So when you do that with the composite bow, which increases the fire rate by 33%, mixed in with the steel arrow and just the castle age upgrade to your archers, they are insanely good. Like the fire rate, if you get a nice mass blob, I think it is better, and maybe Bill can be, I'm sorry, but I think it's better than a Meter blob with Ottoman Empire, or even the range of the, I kind of want to test it, but I think I literally I played a game, I have another third Smurf that I didn't, it was a really experimental one. I don't even play on that often, but I was just playing because I had a short amount of time, and I did a build with the Abbasid, and I believe I seen a pro do this. I don't remember, but I literally just built nothing but archers. I went fast castle with the archers, and I went boot camp and composite bows and made I had so many archers with those upgrades, fully upgraded. I was killing knights, I was killing men at arms, nothing could stop it. And then don't break into the economy. these archers. Everything's dead. With the boot camp, you do better against towers. Like you do better against knight and horseman raids because you have that 15% health increase. So yes, basically what I'm trying to say is I believe that Abbasid archers in Castle Age are the best in the game, and I stand by that.
This has been Hot Takes from Sir Nevels. Takes hotter than the Death Valley in July.
I'm sorry. Like, I don't know if that's really counts as extra sheet. Like, I did kind of learn it. Like, and it could be incorrect.
It counts.
It could be incorrect.
This could be a misled sheet, but
exactly. Maybe Bill's like, oh no, you get a matter with your this, and maybe you activate the arrow upgrade and the
tower. I don't know. Maybe towered longbows from the Windguard. Those Windguard bows.
I didn't go through that. I just know that
arrow Malians. Also, really good.
Oh, that is good.
Those poison arrows and the way they stack.
Too.
Yeah.
I'm standing by this though. I'm standing by it because like I played I did this build and I wish I honestly this account that I made. I don't even know how to even look it up because I'm always doing foreign letters. I don't know why, so I don't really know what I forgot what I even made this about. But I wish I can if I can find this, I want to literally show people yo, this Abbasid Archer build is insane. Cause I was killing knights, I was killing everything, men in arms with the steel. Cause it was so the fire rate is insane. And there's nothing influencing it. There's no matter. Cause for example, the matter, the fire rate is really good also. Mm-hmm. But if you kill the matter, then it goes away. So same thing with the English. You break down one of their towers now, or wherever they got that's giving them that network of castle. Yeah. That boost, they lose it. They need to. But okay, now the Malian archers is something.
That one might. Malians tend to always break things.
That might. Oh, those darn Malians. That was gotta break. But that's something I haven't experimented with. But I do believe because you don't need to be influenced by anything. It's just sheer upgrades. I do believe that the Abbasid have the best archers in the game, and that's not. I'm not saying it just because I love Abbasid, which I do. So yeah, you go.
No, that's not because I love Abbasid. I do love Abbasid. That's not the why. That's that meme.
That's not why. Go culturing, and I may joke, but go culture wing, fast castle, mass archer spam.
To be fair, I've seen him in action too, and it was pretty impressive. And it was against the counter. He hard counters French. It was against a French player, but I gotta say, I saw you use them in action, and they were you had a mass that was two-shotting knights. That was pretty impressive.
Yeah,
I saw that and I was like, oh my gosh. He really was. You were mowing him down. That was impressive.
And that wasn't even that big of a blob. I'm talking I solely made Abbasid archers.
Yeah, you did. Archers. And it was against French knights. I don't think the French knights had all the upgrades. They could not have how much they shoot them down.
No way. There's no way.
It was impressive.
But I'm gonna in that game that you seen, I was mixing other units. I had games in the past where I literally just made solely archers and I was taking out everything. So yes, that's my hot take. It could be. It's probably if someone was ever stumble across it, they'd be probably get the math actually. So probably put me to shame. But I believe that in my heart.
Feel free to at Sir Nevels if you think he's wrong.
I always Reddit post. Yeah.
If anyone ever hears it,
dude. Full stop. I remember there was someone who posted on Reddit about our show, being like, "Hey, this is a super cool show," and I remember being just so touched by that. So if you guys are out there listening, you want to promote it in your own spheres, by all means, we love when you guys are champions of our show. It's so nice.
It really is.
And the sponsors love it too.
Yeah, the sponsors. Yeah, exactly. Actually, I really love it. I haven't seen it yet, but I really was happy with the advertisement we made. I thought that really weird. Advertisement. Wow. The advert we made for the show that was on Rising Empires. I hope that's being used. My wife worked very hard on it and I was very happy with it.
Yeah.
Hope so too.
I liked it.
I ran it when I was casting a couple of weeks ago. Yeah.
Nice. Beale, I think you're up on the docket here for Extra Sheep.
Yeah. So I brought it up a little earlier when Bidderlyn was around. But I had a lot of fun playing this random dude on the AoE Reddit's custom maps. The guy's name is Kai Varu. He made 4 maps. And he actually, I came back with some feedback. And he posted some more patch notes and updates under that. But if any of you are listening and want to see like kind of a map in progress kind of thing. Play a map that's maybe not as polished as what's released for tournaments and like the actual game, to sort of have in your head like conceptually what map design should be like. I would definitely recommend checking out Kaivaru's maps called Snake Pass, Bald Land, Memento Mori, and Shifting Edges.
Yeah, Snake Pass is my favorite.
Snake Pass is kind of rough.
Snake Pass is rough. It's always good to have a teammate that knows a little bit before the map. That's a great benefit.
But yeah, definitely, if you're listening, go check those maps out. Play a couple of customs with it, and think about what Bidderlyn was talking about when it comes to map design and how these maps actually execute on what they try to do.
Yeah, those were fun. In fact, my extra sheep actually is on one of those maps. It was actually my game against you, Beale. Those who don't know, I'm sure most people know, Beale is, I think, the highest ranked player amongst us right now. He's sitting like at you're like low diamond now, right? You're sitting like diamond 1, diamond 2, somewhere in there.
No, I'm plat 2 right now. I finished
2. Okay.
Last season diamond 1 with like I was hovering around 1200 hidden elo, but that's down to like 1150 at this point.
My hidden elo has me right at gold 3, which is where I am. I'll own it. I'm not quite at plat right now. I'm not as polished. But we played against each other on this map. He wanted someone to try it out the map with him, so I was like, yeah, I'd be down to play just for some fun. And you were playing China, so first of all, you were playing a civ you weren't used to playing. So I feel like that alone kind of made us on even footing. More or less. You really didn't play. You don't really know Chinese that much. Good on you.
China players on the chat just being like, "Oh, Beale's showing us the new meta here."
Yeah. I liked the new meta. Let me tell you, I liked it. No, but it was actually a really fun challenge for me because I don't usually go trade, and I was trying. Was I playing French or English? What was I playing as? I think I was playing French. So I don't know. Oh yeah, this is what I did. I actually went for what is it? I didn't go for the cavalry landmark. I went for the French. What is it called? The trade landmark. The feudal trade landmark for French. What is it? Chamber of Commerce. Yeah, Chamber of Commerce. Yeah. I actually went for that. I don't ever go this way. I'm not a big trade guy. I never really liked trade that much. Went for Chamber of Commerce. Started making I figured China was going to boom, so I figured I was going to boom as well. Beale doesn't know China very well, so he couldn't boom as effectively as he normally would have. But I started going Chamber of Commerce and and the way the map worked out was I had some holes in the defense that he could kind of get through, and he kind of did take out a trader or two, but I was able to defend it. I learned a couple things from this game. First of all, that the power of trade is real. There is a bit of a spike there. The second one I noticed was being aware. And this is really, really hard. I notice a lot of guys when I'm watching. Sometimes in your vision of different units, you'll just get a glimpse of something running by. But most people are so hyper focused on what they're doing, they don't notice that sometimes. They don't notice their enemy like just barely in their vision. They completely miss it or something, And I do this all the time too. So this is not just I'm in the same boat. We all do this. But every now and then I notice it, and I noticed Beale had some horsemen. I wasn't too sure what he was going for. I was trying to send a scout. I was sending some raiding parties down below. I was on the other side of his base, so I didn't see his production buildings. I saw some horsemen, and I'm playing as French. So, but I saw them, and I was like, oh, he's going for horsemen. Let me build some spears. I know that's not really a normal thing for French to do, but I'm going trade. I got to defend the trade. That's priority number one. I went for some spears, and I actually was able to hold off the trade pretty well. It was kind of a fun back and forth battle, and he kept trying to raid, and I kept kind of holding him off. And I was like amazed at how important good scouting is and how good trade could be if you can get away with it. And it was just a fun game. I remember actually I was kind of on the back foot though. Beale was kicking my butt. He was taking map control in the middle, and I was taking some bad fights when he went Castle Edge. I got eventually caught up. Eventually, I think I just took one good fight. I think I sniped his my men-at-arms caught up to both of his nest of bees that were just shredding me. Once I destroyed those things, boy, that game swung really heavy. And then I eventually just kind of worked my way back and destroyed our poor friend Beale, who did not play China and so was not at fault for the loss at all. But I just really, really enjoyed that, like how important scouting and being aware of what's around you. That really kind of stood out to me. And then also just how fun trade can be if you go for it. Because I don't go for it all the time. So it was kind of fun to see it pay off for once, especially with the new mechanics being changed in trade a little bit. I wasn't too sure how well it would work, and it did. It was kind of fun. So yeah, that's my extra sheet. Nothing too specific. But.
Yeah, the new trade is good stuff to me. I like the new, I never really knew the trade trick, so I like the new trade, especially going if you don't go trade often, it is amazing realizing how powerful it is when it does take off. You're like, wow, this is really convenient. You're pretty much if it's never disrupted, you have infinite gold for the rest of the game.
I noticed I played this game sometimes I really like the English Ram Rush. That's a strategy I really like. I really like the kind of the fast castle HRE, but sometimes it's just really nice to break out of the mold and play a little loose, And that was kind of that was exactly how I was playing it. I was playing really loose, and I wasn't playing super duper well. Beale definitely had me. I got kind of lucky with the catching his Mr. Bees out of position. But playing kind of playing kind of just loose sometimes can really open things up, especially if you already know the build orders and you know the civs and some of my best games have been when I've been able to pivot straight into men at arms instead as French. They're going lots of spears, lots of lots of spears and other things. I played against China a while ago and I pivoted into men at arms, and it was the totally right call because they were going for trash units. They were going spears and archers, and I was like, I'm just gonna go men at arms and it was spears and horsemen. And I just went men at arms, and they eat up spears and horsemen. And so it's playing loose sometimes is just such a liberating thing to do, and that was fun. So it made me really enjoy the games like that. Make me really enjoy getting back into Age of Empires and wanting to play more and more when I'm playing loose. Because sometimes you get kind of strict into your build order, and sometimes it's really fun. Sometimes it's fun just not to play ranked, just play a casual game with someone and just try stuff out. Yeah. I'm finding that's more fun to me than anything else right now. So.
Feel real quiet over there, not telling Socerton he went easy on him.
I'm sure he did. I fully know that on even terms, Beale's got me. I either need Beale to be 5 drinks back or playing a civ he doesn't know. Then it's a pretty fun game for me. But his Ottomans against if I were to play a civ I wasn't as familiar with against his Ottomans, I'd be probably just swept. I do not want to see Beale playing his evil Ottoman Empire. He kicks butt.
Yeah, we gotta play more. What are your playing hours, dude? We gotta figure that out off stream. I wanna learn and get better. With the residential skilled.
Beale plays while I'm still at work because you guys are on the East Coast, so I'm all of the West Coast. I'm a late night guy for you guys.
I am too.
By the time I get home and by the time my kids are in bed at 7 o'clock my time, it's 9, 10, 11. It's 11 o'clock. You guys are getting ready for bed at that point.
That is true, Bill. He's a responsible schedule.
Yeah.
That's my problem.
Usually a couple of weeknights.
That's my
responsible Beale.
Block of hours.
That should be his new name, Responsible Bill.
Beale has many names, doesn't he?
Yeah,
the man of many names.
The man of many names.
I like it.
He goes by many titles and many accolades, but we know him here as Beale.
And with that,
I think that's
it. See you guys later.
Yeah, we have reached. This is the end. This is the end of the episode. I don't know what else to do now. Yeah.
I don't do with my hands. What I do with my hands? I don't know what to do.
What do I do with my hands?
Let me tell you what you can do with your hands.
Caleb, I do not want to hear that. Please do not.
It's that next extra sheet right there.
Yep. This has been the extra sheet, the unofficial Age of Empires 4 podcast. Wouldn't it be cool if we were the official? How do we become the official podcast? Does anyone know
well, we got a Microsoft guy on there, so that's
exactly.
Yeah, he did. Yeah. Okay, cool fact. He got permission to be able to go on and talk with us today. And we weren't allowed to talk about dev stuff with him. We weren't allowed to talk about his work with Microsoft right now. But he did have to kind of ask me, hey, is it okay if I go and chat with these guys about the game? And they're like, yeah, they actually told him some things about what he could and couldn't do.
Wow, we are the official. We're the official.
So we're on the radar now.
We're on the radar. We might be on the radar. Some supervisor at Microsoft somewhere is aware of us.
Yeah, I like it.
I like to think they're listening right now. If you are, please make us official. I don't know what it takes. I don't even know what that would mean, but I just want it to be official. Maybe one day. But hey, 6 months, guys. We've been here 6 months.
When we get posted to AOE4 World, you got some links in there.
Yeah, there we go. That's great.
Yeah, there we go. You guys want a little extra? You know what I'm saying?
You guys want a little extra sheep?
Extra sheep.
A little sheep on the side. You know what I'm saying?
A little sheep on the side, maybe.
Some under table sheep. Under the table sheep.
Link it to the Spotify.
Yeah.
All right. There we go. That'd be good stuff.
6 months, guys. 6 months. Thank you all for being here, guys. I really appreciate it. This has been fun. Been a good
Oh,
half
it's
year.
always a great time.
Yeah.
Always a great time.
GG.
Right.
Well played.
GGWP.
Nice sheep. All right, see you guys.
All right, sir. You guys have a great night.
Bye. Welcome to the Caleb ASMR Power Hour. Today we're going to be doing tippy tappies on the desk. And if you have any requests, please send our roses or galaxies, and we'll be able to switch over to maybe whipped cream on the microphone or water gargling or whatever you guys want. As the gifters are welcome.